Defining Duke is brought to you by MeUndies. Ladies and gentlemen, we have continued to fight the battle here on the podcast of comfortable underwear, and it continues through MeUndies, who believes that comfort is more than what's touching your skin. It's about feeling comfortable in your skin. Are you feeling like you're sitting on a cloud right now? Are you comfortable? No? I've been there. That's when I found MeUndies. I put them on, and suddenly my whole life changed. To get 15% off your first order and free shipping, go to MeUndies.com/Duke. That's MeUndies.com/Duke. Defining Duke is brought to you by Raycon. In the last month, I have started going back to the gym. Don't say it if you haven't noticed it, okay? I don't need to know that. But I have learned again the importance of a great gym playlist. And thanks to my Raycon wireless earbuds, I'm able to pop them in and start listening to my Lift Like a Gamer playlist. Create your own soundtrack with Raycon. Right now, Defining Duke listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Duke. That's buyraycon.com/Duke to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/Duke.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia.
Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today, and welcome to episode 35 of Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast. As always, I'm joined by the number one fan of biker mice from Mars, Lord Cognito. How are you, Cog?
That was a good one.
That's what I was double checking before the show.
That was a good one, man. That was good. Doing good, man. The Dukes are back. We got a lot to talk about, man. It's been a good week for gaming and news. But how have you been, sir? What's been going on with you?
Good. I have been good. We're busy. We're getting ready for the Last Stand Media meetup, and the evening with Last Stand, I believe, is what it's called. That's this weekend, so we'll update the audience on how that goes after we experience it all. But I'm really looking forward to it. Had to get that PowerPoint ready, so
nice. Yeah, we too.
Getting all prepped. But really excited for it. You feeling? How are you feeling? Like we're gonna be shaking hands this weekend.
Yeah, bro. Right? I'm gonna meet you in real life. Number one, I'm gonna meet you. Which is super dope. We've got the presentation, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? And, the team, man, just everybody, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. All these faces, you've kind of seen and heard about over the years, and Dustin, and Dagan, and Mama Micah, and Chris, and of course, the legendary, you already know, you know what I'm saying? Colin's going to be in the building, who actually, we got to plug him. In my opinion, interview of the year.
Yeah, I was going to highlight that. Yep.
Yes.
So for those who want to support on Patreon, I'm not even going to shout out our show for this one. Colin conducted an interview with Philip Mewson. Obviously, we all know that was one of the biggest debacles when it came to plagiarism in the games industry. And Colin got to sit down with him for some time and really pick his brain on everything that happened. It's exactly what people have wanted for a while. I admit I have yet to listen, but I really wanted to point people in the direction because I already know content. Colin is fantastic at interviewing, and the feedback's been tremendous, it seems.
All I will say is I haven't watched an interview, but I'm not going to spoil anything because everyone needs to watch it, where it's fair, it's balanced, but I'm on the edge of my seat with this whole thing because I needed to know certain things. It's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, and it lights a fire under my ass. We're not competing, by the way. I should make that clear. Like, we all work together. But when I see Colin get something like that, I'm like, what can I do? What can we do as a show? And it's exactly that, right? It's like, all right, I always am looking and I'm always actively pursuing it. But like, here's the thing that I always admire about Colin, and I try to do in my own work, is he's not afraid to take the challenge, right? So something like Philip Mewson, that's a tough interview to do right. It's really difficult. So it's inspiring to work alongside him, and something that we want to hopefully start doing with our show at some point, taking those tough topics, those tough questions. We've definitely done that over time with our news segments, but really pushing that into like interviews, having the conversations. What do you say, Cog? The conversations that you may not want to hear.
You what you want to hear, but what you need to hear. Yeah. And you said it, like, I so respect that because it's important to have discourse, intelligently, respectfully, even if you disagree at your core with someone or what they did, to understand the mindset and also to just have respectful discussion. And like you said, it's inspiring for us, right? And it's just like we want to take Defining Duke to that next level and to keep pushing boundaries with certain things. Right. And I love stuff like that. So yeah, so I'm all about it.
Absolutely. Now, if you're not into hearing about Philip Mewson, you can listen to the Halo Gut Check episode that we dropped. Hey, speaking of what you don't want to hear, but you need to hear, that was a pretty critical conversation on Halo. Every time we sat down to talk about it, it's been relatively positive, I'd say. This was a gut check for the audience as well as ourselves. Where do we lie? We line up quite literally all the bad news that's happened over the last number of months and look at the release window and go, okay, where are we at with this game right now before we start to see more? And of course, we'll recheck that later. And it's one of those episodes that you're going to listen to and you're going to go, this is either going to age phenomenally or these guys are about to be dead wrong. So it's a really good listen. I recommend you check it out. All of this is available on the Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia. You can also get early access for the show, but we just want to have you here. So feel free to listen for free wherever you can listen to podcasts as well as on YouTube for the video version. And beyond that, shout out to everyone who's been doing mobile ratings. I was reading a bunch of them last night as I was preparing for the show. And just thank you so much for representing our product well. We got a lot of 5-star reviews. We had one 2-star review that was highlighting that your boy, me, was new to the industry. And but there were a lot of 5-star reviews that were glowing about you, Cog, myself, and just overall the show we run here. So thank you to those who take the time to do that. Like I always just urge, folks, it does make a difference, not only to bump up our show, but more than anything, it's to make sure it's accurately described as what it is now versus when we had a different host. So
yes,
that is a pretty important thing to do. And with that, enough housekeeping. We certainly have a lot of news and questions to get into. But before we do begin all of that, Steve Hodge wrote in, hey, Dukes, no question this week. I just wanted to shout out Cog's Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade spoiler cast on the most recent Sacred Symbols Plus. Hoag's theory about where the remake is heading is worth the price of admission alone. It's a good excuse for freeloaders to join the Patreon if I do say so myself. Have an incredibly average day, Steve. So well done on that, Cog. Your first Sacred Symbols Plus appearance, correct?
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Shout out to Steve. Thank you for that. That was a lot of fun. Little respect, like little pressure from the standpoint of like, yo, this is a Sacred Symbols. Colin gave me the keys, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I was like, let it rock out. But nah, it was fun. Once I got going, it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Hoag was awesome. Addict was awesome. He's a lore connoisseur. You know, if you care about this franchise, and Hoag has a theory that is so good that if Square Enix is thinking what he's thinking, it's probably the most bold direction of a franchise I've ever seen. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, watch it. Obviously, if you don't want to be spoiled, you wait till you finish Final Fantasy VII Remake and then finish the Yuffie DLC. But it's good, man. It was JRPG feels. It was in our bag, man. A lot of fun.
I got to play Intergrade. I've heard some really good things about it. Now that you've said that, I definitely want to go check it out.
Yes.
All right, let's get into our 5 starting questions from the audience where you can all write in on patreon.com/laststandmedia like Nigel J did. Good day to you fine noblemen. This question thread has dropped at the perfect time as I just heard someone on another podcast say that, quote, open world seems like the next natural progression for the LEGO games, end quote. This was in reference to the upcoming Skywalker saga. Why the flying fluff is open world a natural progression for anything? Why is it automatically considered to be a good thing by seemingly the majority of games media? Don't get me wrong, I enjoy some open world games, but the vast majority seem to be wasteful and padded with pointless activities. I can't help think that many open world games would have been immensely improved if they had been tighter, more linear experiences. I know this is an old debate at this point, but the idea that a LEGO game can only be good if it becomes open world is absolutely infuriating to me. Anywho, thanks for letting me get that out of my system. Love you both and hope you have an appropriately average day. Thank you for writing in, Nigel. This is something that's really picked up since, I'd say, the 360 PS3 generation where, we saw that was the place that everyone wanted to go. Everyone wanted to go open world. And then as technology grows more and more, everyone's trying to get bigger and more open rather than making tighter spaces with more options. So what do you think of, I don't know who said this, nor does it really matter, but what do you think of the idea of open world being a natural progression for most franchises?
I got to shout out Nigel J because he literally verbalized an internal frustration I've had with the industry. And I completely agree with him. You know, I definitely think, shout out to you. I think it was me, you, and Carrick when I was on. And we found out we were all fans of, we're like Team Hub World, right?
Indeed.
Because I felt like we love these condensed, like very densely packed hubs where you don't get to go every single place as far as, the galaxy and in outer worlds, so to speak. But what you get from each world is so dense. It's so rich of lore. It's so full. It's connected. It's personal. And I love those experiences. And I've been pushing back on the games industry like Nigel, where it's like everyone feels like, yo, if it's open world, it's going to be crazy. And I think what it is I call it the illusion of like all this extra gameplay. But the reality is it's just more waypoints on the map, icons on the map. And to be honest, I get OCD with that stuff. And I'm just like, you get overwhelmed. You're like, you have to do all of this stuff. And sometimes those tighter, more linear stories to me are the better stories. So again, do I hate all open worlds? No. But the one example I'll give that they, in my opinion, did it right where it made me do it was Ghost of Tsushima.
I knew you
Ghost of Tsushima. Because like it was the environment not pushing me, not telling me, hey, the wind is going there. There's a fox over there. All right. And let me go check and do natural exploration as opposed to icon overload, 50 icons on the map and that kind of thing. So that's pretty much what I got. I got to shout out Nigel. I have had this internal conflict, and I thought I was one of the few outside of you guys, you and Carrico, when I was on my debut guesting, that feels similarly. But where are you at with it? Are you open world fatigued, or where are you at?
No, you see, the funny thing is not really. I feel like there are certain series that work really well with open world. We were sticking with PlayStation. I think Horizon fits well as an open world game. I would even argue series that started off more linear with choices like Fallout. Work best in an open world setting. It depends what universe I think ultimately you're setting, because that's really a character in your game, the world you're exploring, and that can add a lot to the experience. Where once again, Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn, these games hit harder because their worlds were rich with so much personality. I think they can add something to it, but I think the problem really lies with existing franchises that are all being pushed in this direction. They're asking themselves, how can they go wider in the most literal sense, instead of what if we kept this space the same, and how much could we pack into this space? How many options? How much replay value? And I think a lot of it boils down to statistics. I'm sure that open world games sell more. I'm sure they look at stats that suggest, how many times does someone actually replay this content? And that's where I'm going to sound like Jess Corden. I think like the numbers can get a little funny because a lot of people may not be replaying the levels, but they may be buying the game to play it their own way once. And there's a major difference there, is that everyone can have their own experience and share that. And there's something undervalued by that in RPG developers, where they'll go, well, no one's really playing the content. It's like, well, people get to have their true experience once, and that's it. Some people, like myself, will go back multiple times. So I just think the issue is really jamming it, like we talk about here, into something like the Lego series. I don't know if it's a natural progression. In a way, you could argue yes, because it started off as level to level. But what if those levels were replayable and had all different mechanics beyond what was already there? And they evolved that idea rather than going full open world. But I will also say that I fell back in love with Lego games when they went open world. So there are times where it works and there's times where it doesn't. I think it's just a formula thing, right? Like you touched on. The Assassin's Creed formula is really what I think poisoned the well for open world games.
Yeah, that's where I was at.
And I like Assassin's Creed. I should say that. I do like Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point, and I think you also made a fantastic point as far as what was just telemetry.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, I agree. And it's like, I know why they do it. I absolutely know why they do it. The engagement and the personalization of, like you said, your own experience and you doing it on your own way. And hey, you encountered that guy, I didn't encounter that guy, or whatever it is, off the beaten path. And I get it. It's just, I think where I struggle is just, everything has to be 100+ hours. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes some of the greater stories are told more refined. But yeah, I'm not against it, in certain scenarios. And like you said, I think you made a good point. The way they started, but I feel like some feel that existing franchise need to transform into that. And that's also, an issue I have with it. But yeah, it's a good topic, man. It's a good discussion.
For sure. Next topic comes from Frank Ortiz. Yo, Dukes, I've been pondering lately the future of 343 and where the studio is headed after Halo Infinite. I doubt they are sticking to the 10-year single-player DLC plan that Chris Lee was envisioning after his departure, and Joseph Staten is only there temporarily. This leaves the studio in limbo without real leadership, so here's an idea for you boys to ponder. There's around 700 employees at 343. What if you take a portion of the studio and make 3 smaller teams of 80 to 100 people headed by an individual who has shown leadership qualities? Tell them you can handpick your team and make a Halo game that's more akin to Halo ODST. Nothing to do with Master Chief or Cortana. Just make us the best version of a Halo spinoff. And whoever does that will the team will lead the next iteration of the mainline Halo games. Thanks, Dukes. Have a wonderfully dreadful afternoon. What do you think of this, right? I mean, a lot of people are, dare I say, itching to see 343 get scattered about, get shaken up. Because they really are going to be left without leadership once Joe Staten leaves. You imagine they have a chain of command, and there'll be someone next up in charge.
Right.
Otherwise, there's a real big problem.
Question before I go on. So do we have confirmation that like Staten is like just a temporary fix since we took over from Chris Lee?
I believe when he joined, he was there to help launch the game. I don't know if he talked about anything afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, I guess
can double check in the meantime, but I was pretty confident on that.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is because, like, I'm biased. I'm obviously I'm a Bungie guy. He comes from that, and I would like him to stay and see, something like Halo in his vision. I really, like a lot of the things that he's done in trying to get this thing across, and to me, he represents from the golden era, right? Like he represents when Halo was great, he was there, right? So, and then obviously he left, and then when 343 came in or whatever, and now he's back. So ideally, I would like that. With Frank's statement, I feel like we got to be careful. I like the spin-off ideas, though. That part's cool, but I think like when he says like we have to get by individuals showing leadership qualities. To me, that's subjective. Like, what does that mean? Like who unless it's some luminary in the industry that is now coming over to 343 that 343 has signed, to me, then, you have to look internally what's going on. Now, I will agree with him that if this one don't land and we do get confirmation that Staten is not there, then there will be a major shakeup in that building. There's no doubt about it, because this will be, another example of why, they somehow, whether it be the multiplayer, the single player, or whatever, may have messed up one of the, the franchises or whatever. So that's what I mean. I don't know how I feel about splitting up, and then letting them kind of like, battle royale for the, for the head leadership thing. I don't know where I'm there with that. But I am wanting to give Staten a chance if he decides to stay. But what do you got on Staten? Any news?
Yeah, so I was digging through, and it says he never directly says it, but a lot of websites are reporting it's temporary. So I'm guessing that they pulled it from another source, and it's a Game of Telephone.
Right.
So, but it seems like this is the likely
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. My last point is, I'll give it to you, is just that I hope that he is brought in a more permanent role or is elevated to whatever if there is major shakeup. But that's just me. I'm biased. I like Staten since a bunch of days. But where are you at with this? You want them to be split up? You want them? What you want?
I would not be against it, and the reason I say it is not because it's I'm looking from the outside going yes, chaos, but really because when you look at 4, 5, and if they mess up Infinite to some extent in the terms of, this is what we talked about on DDU, really just the quality of the launch, right? I think the mechanics are very sound, but the quality of the launch is really in question here, and they're leaning in heavily to the idea that this is a service game, and if they don't get it right, I think that you've gotten 3 tries at this IP. I'm not saying take the IP away from them, because who knows who else would work on it. Certainly there are options there, but this was a studio built around the idea of making Halo games. But I think you got to change up the approach and get them into a successful formula that works for them, right? Like I forgot Master Chief Collection as well. So it's 4, right? Ooh. And, they've consistently underperformed. They have over-delivered now, I feel, in a way, for Master Chief Collection. But that took a lot of time, 7 years almost. And When you really look at Halo 4, I thought that was a strong start. I actually really liked that. It did fall off pretty quickly, but I enjoyed that a lot. 5 speaks for itself. And then their co-development of Halo Wars 2 was encouraging as well. I don't know. They're too spotty, where I look at it like you need someone consistent, right? Imagine, I always like to just bring up PlayStation because I think it's just valuable perspective. Imagine if something like God of War was spotty. Uncharted was really spotty. Like Uncharted 2 really sucked, but Uncharted 3 came back and it was bomb. And then 4 was all right. Like, right, you'd be like, it's too much of a roller coaster for a staple franchise. It makes no sense. And that's the perspective we need, because a lot of times when they're brought up, it's this whataboutism that is used to stoke console wars, but it's like, no, like, let's look at the quality here. So yeah, if they drop Infinite, I can't help but look at it and go, there needs to be something changed here, because you have had a lot of time to figure this out on multiple games. And with Infinite, you have been giving ample time to really figure it out. And if you still haven't, then what do we do
what
now?
the hell are you doing?
Yeah, right. Right. Like, now what?
Matty coming in the office firing. I like this. I like this. You in your board meeting bag right now? I'm loving it. Continue. This is hot.
That's really all I had, because it's with Halo Infinite, I just get really tired of the bending over backwards for 343. I love Halo, and I really was encouraged by the small slice we saw from the technical preview. But after our talk, Cog, on DDU, I was just like, I don't like where the discourse is for this game, like the push to get it out this year. They've got to do it. Like, maybe it's not ready. And if it's not, let's give 343 at least the opportunity to release something quality. And it's also just the nature of service games, which some people have accepted. I have not. There's a difference there.
I agree. You're saying the tough things, man. And I can't discount it, man.
Of many people in the comments, I imagine.
Look, you got to have those real talks with family, man. And this is one of those talks. It's like, you said it best. How many more chances are they afforded before we have to make major changes on some level? And you said it. Obviously, Master Chief was an absolute debacle at launch. Like, that's one of the worst launches I've ever seen, to be brutally honest, with an iconic franchise. Mm-hmm. And then, like you said, 4, great single player, not so great, multiplayer. 5, way mismarketed campaign, didn't even end up being what it was marketed. Because I remember I was at E3 watching the trailer, the Conquering Hero, the Conquering Hero, and you see a lock over this. I'm like, oh my God, it's this epic thing. And that was like so misrepresented in the game. I was really upset. And I remember watching a cutscene and getting an achievement for the cutscene as if I beat a level. And I'm like, what is going on with this campaign? Multiplayer was great. So I agree. At some point, if they don't land the plane with Infinite, then I think you're onto something.
I'm with you. I think, I don't know how you run a business around one of your flagship IP, and when they're being mishandled, you just can't take a look at it and go, what do we do now? Right. I think that just makes the most sense, although people won't like to hear that.
Fair.
Defining Duke is brought to you by Raycon. In the last month, I have started going back to the gym. Don't say it if you haven't noticed it, okay? I don't need to know that. But I have learned again the importance of a great gym playlist. And thanks to my Raycon wireless earbuds, I'm able to pop them in and start listening to my Lift Like a Gamer playlist. Okay, this has been a game changer because no one likes to work out in peace. I got to get my gaming soundtrack going to get that extra pump in. And let me tell you right now, Raycons are the best way to listen. They come in a bunch of different gel tips for your comfort. And unlike some other brands, they don't stick out of your ears. They're not going to fall out in the middle of things. And also, when I come home from the gym, I'm really tired, so sometimes I forget to charge my other headphones. With Raycons, they have a 32-hour battery life, so that is really important for me. Create your own soundtrack with Raycon. Right now, Defining Duke listeners can get 15% off their Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Duke. That's buyraycon.com/Duke to save 15% on Raycons. buyraycon.com/Duke.
Number 3 comes from Seth Bain. Would you rather watch your parents have sex every day for the rest of your life, or join in one time?
Bro, Seth, what's going on,
I
man?
know, right? I know.
Seth.
I know.
I'm going to let them rock. They created me. I actually stay out of it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. If I could pick an option 3, I'd probably, just get rid of them.
Yes.
Just put that out, because clearly they're trying to torture me at this point, right? So it's like, where's the gun at, right? So that'd be option 3. But I'm with you, right? You ain't getting involved.
Yes. Nah, we ain't doing that. Salute to Seth, though.
It was the most liked comment on the post. I'm like, what's wrong with our audience?
Like, yeah, they loose. Loose. The Dukes are loose.
Oh, I didn't even realize this. I picked the question because I liked it, but the fucking name
of the next, I'm like,
Old People Sex writes in. All right. With Disney seemingly more willing to license out Marvel games, PlayStation has Spider-Man made by Insomniac. I want to hear your pitch for an exclusive Xbox Marvel game. Also, what studio do you think you should make it? Here's mine while you ponder. I want a Blade game, an RPG style of Witcher, Arkham combat with Kill Bill-esque blood and gore. Some interesting things could be done with the day-night cycle due to being a daywalker. Could be cool to be switching from sword to gun combat, kind of like Devil May Cry. Set in a nostalgia late 90s, early 2000s. Top that with some dope vampire lore. Arcane is perfect for this. Pretty good suggestion here.
Yeah, shout out to Old People Sexy out here. But yeah, like look, y'all see what's behind me right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's my favorite character. It's a quick funny story. Like I didn't know about comics. My dad and mom separated, but when I used to hang out with my dad, he would take me to comic book stores, right? Mm-hmm. So, all the kids are like cool like you met Spider-Man, all the cool stuff, right? So my dad is like, you're not reading that. And I'm like, and he pulls out this Silver Surfer book. And I'm just like, I remember as a kid, I was like, who's that? Mm-hmm. And then I started reading, and bro, it was like cosmic entities, celestial beings. I'm like 7.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it took a lot to read these books. And but I have to admit, when I did learn it, I got an affinity for the character. He's a very conflicted character. He actually started almost as a villain, for Galactus, and most people know the story. But at the end of the day, back to the question, I want a Silver Surfer game. I want action adventure. I want it to be kind of like, first of all, I want Initiative to do it. Because I want Initiative to do a new damn IP. That's what
Okay.
So Initiative is going to get to work on something new where for Cog in the building. So yeah, I want a little bit of cosmos. It could be hub as far as the planets and stuff that you go, his home world, obviously Earth, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And I want set pieces, you know what I'm saying? I want big set piece. I want Galactus in the back. I want him, facing other heroes. Thanos makes an appearance. He's very connected to everything cosmic. So I want that spacefaring, a little bit of action and adventure, but I also want, a very stylistic game. I want graphical fidelity, so to speak. Like, I don't want it to be like it's just all this hardcore RPG mechanics. You know what I'm saying? I really want the character to shine in that way. So I'm going with Initiative. I'm going with Silver Surfer. I think there's a lot of potential. Make some cameos. Get your little Fantastic Four cameos in there, your little Avengers cameo if he goes to Earth, whatever. And then dealing with some real cosmic overarching cosmic threat, because the last point I'll say is Surfer was in real comic history as opposed to the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Right.
It was Silver Surfer who warned Earth's heroes about the impending doom of Thanos acquiring the Infinity Gauntlet. Since they didn't have the rights to Silver Surfer because Fox had the rights, that character was kind of replaced by Hulk, and he became the Surfer role, because it was Surfer that crashed into Doctor Strange's house. And then in this case, when you see Hulk saying, hey, Thanos is coming, that's Surfer's role. He was the
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it hurt me as a geek, because I'm like, damn, that was my man, but they can't do it because they don't got the rights. So I understood. But yeah, that's what it was.
Interesting. That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
For me, my pick would be, I love the Wolverine Origins game from Raven Software. For those who haven't played it, this is a 360 PS3 game that was phenomenal. Just everything I wanted as a Wolverine game. And Wolverine's had a surprisingly good history of video games. Like, I think of X2, Wolverine's Revenge, pretty good arcadey game. But this one in particular was excellent. And so do check it out if you have yet to. Gory, fun combat, pretty true to the movie. Not a good final boss, but beyond that, great game.
No doubt.
So with that, I pick X23.
Ooh.
I read a full volume or a collection of comics on X23. Probably one of my most underrated, I don't even want to say superheroes, like an anti-hero. And I would want Ninja Theory to do this X23 game. Yeah, because like just an action adventure X23 game. One of the things that she struggled with is she was kind of conditioned to kill. Like they would give her, if I remember correctly, because it's been about 3-4 years since I read, specific like sense. And so in the comic I was reading, like she killed the president, she was like killing people, and then she'd black out, kill, wake up and go, and she'd be covered in blood and just not know what happened. And I feel like Ninja Theory's ability to tool and tweak that type of experience would be beautiful. Like I could see them really going crazy with that, these incidental murders, creating something much more emotional. That's why I liked X-23 is, you know, this is a little kid, by the way. So you're like, you feel bad for her. And there's volumes in the comics where she's like living a normal life and she's escaped this trained killing behavior. And then she like kills the family by accident that she is living with. It's just really gut wrenching. She's a very tragic anti-hero. And so I would love to see her get more spotlight. She's in Logan. She's really cool in Logan, but I want to see her get like a game, because I think if a lot more people saw her, kind of like what we're seeing with Marvel Midnight Suns, where you're taking some pretty unknown names or ones that aren't super marketable in movies and television and putting them in there. I think people are going to find themselves gravitating towards that more. And Injustice 2 did the same thing, which is with B-tier heroes. I forget some of the names, but point being is I think a video game is perfect for X-23. Just the locomotion, the speed, the gore. I think it's all there. I would love to see that.
You just sold me in the marketing pitch room. That is fire. And then Ninja Theory is perfect with the mental aspect. And how not. Well, yeah, that's fire. That's fire. I'm all about that. I'm signing off your game first. I like my game, but your game's getting the budget for sure.
See, I had this thing with Silver Surfer where I think of I think it's the first Ultimate Alliance game with the Galactus level, and I just remember that shit being so annoying.
Oh yeah.
That'd be so annoying because you would like fly around with Silver Surfer and you quick time events, and as a kid I was like, I fucking missed, and
you had the quick time. That's right. I love that game. Me, I was all geeking out.
You probably love that.
I was like going crazy, but I could understand.
Right? He's in the party after that, if I remember.
He was like, fun quick story. He was a hidden character that you had to do all these things. You had to beat like every character mission, or there was a code for him to unlock him from the start, which I use. However, if you're an achievement whore,
oh no,
it disables your achievements on getting secret characters if you do that. And I'm like, damn it, Raven. Like,
and then you got to get the Ultimate Edition, right, to get all of them built in, or you got to buy them.
You got to buy, so that's what it was.
There's a game that I've incidentally replayed almost as many times as KOTOR. It's probably the first Ultimate Alliance.
Oh, bro, I love that game.
So good.
So good.
The fact that 3 hasn't been ported to other consoles is kind of surprising. I really didn't think that's something that Nintendo would be locking down, but they have. And
it was It was Team Ninja, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
that was 2019 as well. And that game, like, it's really messy, but it's fun.
It's fun. It's fun. It's very stylish, very cinematic. It just killed me because I normally don't have a problem with, exclusives going on the platforms, but what bothered me with the Switch is like that game is meant to be a romp with your friends, like 4 people. I got my little cousin into video games because of that. I was like, look, you pick Captain America or whoever, I'll pick Spidey. Awesome. And it's like you just pick your hero and you just, it's a beat 'em up. You're having fun, unlocking your little powers, playing how you want to play. And I'm like, it broke our tradition, because Switch doesn't have any damn proper network infrastructure and party chat. And I'm like, so we're like in Xbox Live trying to play Switch. And it was like, this is a mess. I was hoping that there was a chance it could come to other platforms. But
maybe one day, right? It was the same way I felt about Astral Chain. I was like, someone's got to poach this game and just get 60 FPS. Like, oh my God.
So good.
Please.
So good.
Well, on the other end of the spectrum, we got some DC to talk about. Cody Richter writes in, hey, Cog and Matty. So it was confirmed that both Suicide Kill the Justice League and Gotham Knights will be making an appearance at the DC Fandom event in October. I just want to get your thoughts on what we might see and if you guys have any interest in these games. Also, what's the possibility of Microsoft making a deal with Warner Bros. And getting one or both of these games day one on Game Pass? Gotham Knights seems like a possible get to me because of Game Pass being big on co-op games as of late. What's the temperature check here on what DC's got in the pan here? In the pot,
I like what I saw from Gotham. From what I remember it was like a Mr. Freeze level, Darkwing, and a couple other people.
Yep.
Shout out to Ryan. I was actually my debut on Podcast Unlocked when that happened. The news broke down. Really? Yeah, that was my debut. So I was like, oh man, this is cool. They doing this. Like, yo, it looked really cool. So yeah, that's the one I'm more excited for. Suicide, Squad. Obviously, the movie did really well, which I gotta watch. I haven't watched yet.
I watch that too. Yeah.
Oh, okay, me and you are the same. But everyone's telling me, yo, you gotta watch that. So I got to do that. And then, as far as his question is just, I don't want to burst a bubble, but I almost feel like it's a pipe dream for the Microsoft thing, only because not that they can't do it, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I feel like Microsoft, if they were going to get WB, they're more value with the license. They're more valuable with the license. Mm-hmm. And I'm concerned that the license might either be too much or not part of the deal. And if they're not part of the deal, then it's like, how attractive are they, right, for acquisition? So that's my only thing. Like in a perfect world, if they could, man, I always tell people, if they could get that and NetherRealm, I'm good. Like I'm all about that. But what's your temperature on both games and then and Microsoft in general?
Honestly, when it comes to kill the Justice League, I believe the reports were this is a live service game. So on paper, I just feel like that's the more sensible choice for Game Pass. Although I could totally see Gotham Knights getting in there, but I don't know how much brand exposure either of these titles need. They're just very popular games that are of some of the biggest superheroes that the world knows. So I'm of the mindset that I don't think we'll see either of these games in Game Pass, although on paper they make sense because something like Battlefield also makes sense, and we have yet to really hear or see if they're going to strike a day one deal for that. I'm still holding out hope on it, but there are games that will make sense, but they have to make sense for both sides. A lot of people look at it as like, here's what makes sense for Xbox. Should happen, right? It's like, and I'm not attacking Cody when I say this because we're all guilty of it. But it's like, it makes sense for Xbox. Doesn't make sense for DC though. And that's why you're seeing that's why to me, Back 4 Blood's such an exciting get, because that is a game that I think will do well. Where Xbox got it, Warner Bros. Publishing it would have been fine, but them getting it on Game Pass, clearly they saw value in it. But I think that's one of the more exciting gets. For something like, I'd be shocked if they got either of those two, but I'm more than open to it. For me personally, yeah, Gotham Knights looks sick. A lot of people were really sour on it, calling it a live service game. I remember I made a video having to defend it because that was mega misinformation. It's an action RPG, and there's going to be loot and stuff. It's going to be different from the Arkham games. That's because it's from a different developer, and it's not an Arkham game. But yeah, this game I thought looked sick. Co-op action RPG with Arkham-style combat. That's me, man. That's fine with me. That looks great. So I'm very excited to see more this October. I'll definitely be keeping my eye out for it. And when it comes to Suicide Squad, I trust in Rocksteady. I know they got it, but it's been a while, and their last foray with Arkham Knight was so long ago, and it wasn't amazing. I still thought it was a good game, but whether it was burnout or lack of inspiration, and then the PC port speaks for itself, there was a lot of bumps in the road. And they've been working on this for a while, where they need to show strong the first time they do show it. So I'm very excited to see what that ends up being. But there's been so many rumors and reports about it, so time will tell. But end of story, these games are good fits. I just don't think it'll happen.
I agree.
All right, let's get into the news. We have a lot for this week, so here we go. Number one. Well, rumors have made the rounds about Hideo Kojima and Xbox teaming up for a cloud-based project. His time with PlayStation and Death Stranding don't appear to be over as some had envisioned. Actor Norman Reedus had the following to say at a recent Walking Dead roundtable, as reported by IGN Brazil in a recently translated Portuguese interview. Quote, "I think we're doing a second Death Stranding," Reedus told Adoro Cinema, which is a partner site of IGN Brazil. Death Stranding 2 is in negotiations right now, so yay, end quote. It was then reported by VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb on July 1st that Hideo and Xbox have signed a letter of intent for the two titans to work together, so this is still likely further down the road. So what do you make of Hideo Kojima seemingly playing both sides of the fence if what Norman Reedus reportedly said is to be true?
I have heard conflicting things here. I have heard that one train of thought is that he is misinformed and that it's really the director's cut thing. Mm-hmm. I heard that. Then, I heard initially, and shout out to Colin and Sega, so like, maybe they weren't happy, Sony being, with with the investment and how much it actually did. Not that it bomb, but maybe the amount of they invested into the game for Death Stranding, didn't meet the sales expectation that they were looking for. So I don't know what to think here. I mean, I saw the director's cut, which was the one last moment at Gamescom. Shout out to Jeff Keighley. Shout out to Jeff Keighley. We know that's your boy. I get it. You rapping your boy. I get it.
Oh, it's his boy, all right.
Oh yeah, like they love him. They love him. You know what I'm saying? So I my gut still says no. I don't know why. My gut. Hey, maybe Sony surprises me and says, we're gonna do Death Stranding 2, and then Kojima gets a bag from Microsoft and a bag for but to me, my only thing with Kojima, as genius as he is, right, is that we have to be honest that his thought process, his creations tend to be big budgeted, and that sometimes doesn't sit well with the publisher or the powers that be that are above him. And I am concerned that may be a one-off. Like, bro, we gave you that bag. You did what you did. We thought it might have was going to do this. It didn't necessarily do this. And we're good because you remember he was pitching this next game. He was supposed to have that done with Google and Stadia because he got some cloud components in part of this game. And then that fell through. And then now we hear, shout out to Jeff Grubby Grubb, my man's, you know what I'm saying? Like we hear about this now, Microsoft thing, which I actually think it's a good fit because one, Microsoft got the bank. Microsoft knows what the optics of Kojima is with them.
Yes.
3, my prediction, I'm standing on it, is that you are going to see this man on the Game Awards in some capacity debuting this, because this letter of intent thing is, for all intents and purposes, it is official. I believe Grubb on that one. His sources are usually airtight. I think Xbox is going to pull what they did with Hellblade, how they announced something, a big game or whatever. I think the announcement of whatever he's working on might happen at the Game Awards end of the year. But that's where I'm at with it. I'm curious to get your thoughts on Death Stranding 2. I want to know where you're at with that in the whole thing.
Yeah, I honestly never played the first Death Stranding, so it's because I was never really interested.
Me too. Okay,
even the director's cut, I was looking at it like, all right, let's see what this has got for me. This is the game for me, right? Like this is the one that's gonna have gameplay, right? And I'm looking at it like, oh, okay, all right.
You wasn't enthused by the UPS. You wasn't enthused by jumping on the back.
Here's the thing, right? Is instead of attacking what was the problem with the game, which a lot of people have said, I'm not just trying to regurgitate here, but what I've read is there's not a lot of gameplay, and so what they did was they threw shit everywhere. They're like, there's racing. We got cannons to shoot yourself from. Like they made a bot that will deliver packages for you. I'm like, oh, so you just remove parts of the gameplay that was annoying or boring. Sorry, I'm not even answering your question. I'm just like,
no, I love it. I let it slide. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, it's like, I don't know if they see value in a sequel. If the first one didn't really pop off as well as it should have, I believe it was profitable. So there is that, but obviously with PlayStation having this shift to blockbuster exclusives, there is now the question of how profitable. It's not just it's got to be profitable. How profitable are you? So I don't buy fully into the the translated quote here, because it could have been misinterpreted. And that second Death Stranding, I agree, sounds a little bit more like director's cut. I don't know why. Just like,
yep, I'm with you.
I feel Norman Reedus has worked, number one, with Kojima extensively enough, but in an industry long enough to know to keep his mouth closed on shit he's working on that's new. And because he's made deliberate teases in the past without saying it, like, we're making Death Stranding 2. Like he's never blundered that horribly. And I don't think he's impervious to it, but I feel like he's enough of a vet to not make that mistake. And especially, once again, with Kojima, who's a very, not that other creators aren't serious, but like very intimate, if you will, and very specific with those he works with. I would imagine he'd want to keep that locked down, airtight. So
agreed.
I think, I'm with you on the idea that we will see that Xbox game first. But I'm not also against the idea of him playing both sides of the fence. I think that'd be pretty cool. Just, no one's losing out there. But ultimately, I think that just Kojima Productions doesn't seem to be a big enough studio to handle to large games like Death Stranding 2 and whatever this cloud game is, which is messing with new technology. So there's also that worth factoring in, where a re-release makes sense. A full new game, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I agree. Last point I'll say is that, with the Microsoft thing, it also makes sense because even though I didn't play Death Stranding either, it did interest me, that there, from my understanding, there are connected online components in the game where players could leave things for another player, and it's trying to give you the illusion of building a world or connecting a world, right? So if he's already playing with those type of ideas in a single player space, to me, the perfect progression. Now it makes sense why he initially went to Stadia first, right? So now you're looking at Microsoft with the Azure backbone, like they could literally write the check as well as provide the infrastructure that if he has those type of thoughts of including that kind of thing, some cloud level integration into his game. So I think it's a perfect fit for both. I think it's a perfect match because Microsoft needs to show new IPs. They need a big splash. The illusion of taking a Kojima into their fold is going to hit hard. And last point for jokes. Look, it's nice. Remember, it's nice to play good with Jeff right now. You know what I'm saying? You want to be buddy with Jeff. They gave Halo to Jeff. Remember? They didn't debut Halo's release date on their own stage. They gave it to Mr. Keighley. And if you listen, Phil playing chess out here. If you got Kojima and you got Jeff come out on stage, all three together, bro, secure the bag. I ain't mad. Get the public perception that Xbox is good. And hey, you might get your game to end off at every Gamescom too. I'm just being silly with the last one. But where I'm going.
There's a long-term game here that Phil may be playing. It's worth considering. Let's get into number 2 because these could be loosely connected. Tokyo Game Show 2021 begins September 30th, and it appears Xbox will be joining the festivities. According to the official website, the team at Xbox is planning a showcase that, quote, has some exclusive news and content, end quote. With that in mind, we'd be remiss to not inform you that Sega will also be in attendance alongside Atlus. This is the second time Xbox has been a part of Tokyo Game Show, with their appearance last year boasting some Microsoft Flight Simulator content related to Japan and plans for the region with the Series X and S consoles. While not much of a splash, head of Xbox Phil Spencer has made it clear he isn't happy with the status of the brand in Japan, referring to it as, quote, not acceptable, end quote, and pledged to do, quote, a much better job, end quote, this generation. Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? We already saw how Gamescom played out. And it was it was Gamescom, so it existed. It was there.
It existed. I'm done with you.
I'm gonna show some self-control here.
Okay.
Stay on my seat. There are a laundry list of things I could throw and vomit out right now of like, I want you to do this, that. Of course, I'll get into some of those suggestions, but I'm going to keep my expectations nice and tempered here. Just nice and tempered because, when you look at what they did previously, it really wasn't much. And I'm hoping that they do come out in the following year once you have established yourself as a competitive brand, go like, here's what we're doing in Japan now. And announce things like, here we go. Persona on Xbox.
Oh, there we go.
It's time. And it times out very well because there is this time frame that Atlus is celebrating the anniversary of Persona. And between now and I want to say next August, they're going to have a bunch of announcements. So at Tokyo Game Show with Sega, Atlus in attendance, Xbox will be there with some content news. I'm feeling the stars are aligning for something here. I'm feeling everything's connecting. So that much I feel. A lot of people were like, is there going to be an Xbox studio announcement, Matty? Are we going to get Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox, Matty? Exactly what Cog's doing. We're going to put that down right now. I think any new studio announcement is separate from a showcase. I don't know if Xbox will ever do that again. I really don't. Yeah. I know they've done it twice with XO and they did it with E3, but I think those are more statements because those are long term, where now they have stuff coming out. This is a very busy fall for them, so they don't. It's a part of their blog posts rather.
Yeah, no, couldn't have said it better, man. I literally, me and you have to share the same mentality there. For me, it's Persona, right?
Oh.
do get Persona done. They have mentioned it. They have spoken it into existence as something that they are interested in. They do that. Maybe a few Game Pass announcements of, things coming into the service that are Japanese focused or whatever. I'm good. Yes, the pipe dream. Oh, Sega. Oh, this. I get it. But I'm with you. I'm keeping my expectations. I'm not trying to leave that thing mad that this didn't happen and that didn't happen or whatever. I will say I will be a little disappointed if we, based on your information, we don't get the Persona thing, because that needs to happen. I
have it on pretty good authority that Phil really wants Persona on Xbox. So I trust that he is working to do that. And I just feel like everything's aligning now where it makes sense with the anniversary, not just the anniversary is happening, but like the time limit of when the anniversary begins and those announcements happen, Sega being there, Xbox being there, exclusive content and news. I don't think they're going to blow the roof off the place, but I do think something like that's entirely possible. With the PC port happening last year in June, releasing on Steam, and it was a good port. I'm thinking that now there's a little bit of a competition probably between Xbox and PlayStation on who's going to get that port next. And I think if Xbox is smart, get it. Go grab it. Day one Game Pass, all that stuff. Get people into Persona. Show Sega that you can continue to grow things outside of Yakuza and Two Point Hospital. Continue to nurture that good relationship. And in 5 years, we'll be recording an episode about how they've acquired them.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah. That's the one I'm looking for.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt.
Defining Duke is brought to you by MeUndies. Ladies and gentlemen, we have continued to fight the battle here on the podcast of comfortable underwear, and it continues through MeUndies, who believes that comfort is more than what's touching your skin. It's about feeling comfortable in your skin. Now, with that, I have a very important question for you. What underwear are you wearing at this very moment? You know what? Actually, don't answer that, okay? All I need to know is the feeling you're experiencing. Are you feeling like you're sitting on a cloud right now? Are you comfortable? No? I've been there. That's when I found MeUndies. I put them on, and suddenly my whole life changed. So never leave your couch again with a MeUndies membership, a monthly subscription that sends new pairs right to your door. Each month, you'll choose new undies, socks, or a bralette, and pick the style and color or print that feels the most you. Fun, right? Plus, enjoy discounted pricing, free shipping, and exclusive early access to new launches. Love your butt and get the membership. To get 15% off your first order and free shipping, go to MeUndies.com/Duke. That's MeUndies.com/Duke.
All right, number 3. NetEase is a company that develops some of China's most lucrative mobile games and PC clients. With the Chinese government placing a 3-hour limit to gaming every week for its citizens, Chinese gaming titans NetEase and Tencent will have to peer beyond the borders to keep their respective businesses flowing smoothly. That means poaching talent, and it appears that Yakuza series creator Toshihiro Nagoshi is the first domino to fall. A report familiar with the matter says that Nagoshi will be setting up his own team to create new games, but has yet to sign the final contract and finalize his duties with his newfound partner. Now, y'all know Yakuza is entirely on Game Pass now. Let's talk about this one, right? We saw the 3-hour limit get placed in China for gaming. This is going to hurt some of these companies, right? So they got to go beyond. And this is where you're going to start to see fingers get into cookie jars. You're going to start to see money fly because they got to speed up their process of going more global. Otherwise, the business will suffer. Not going to go out of business because people are still playing games, but they gotta start setting things up beyond the borders. So what do you think of them poaching talent like a Yakuza series creator, Toshihiro Nagoshi?
Yeah, I'm concerned. I love Like a Dragon. Like, I love that game. And this is the guy. And then for me as a Sega kid, this one, he represents the lineage that I came from. He's one of the OGs. He was there since like the Virtua Racing or whatever. Like, the Goshi's been there, so it's like I'm a little concerned, just for the health of my baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, now he had this new direction. Granted, and we all know this is a team effort, and but he's the top. He's the top, right? And now they're poaching. So, and then NetEase, I've kind of got my eye on them. I'm not putting them all the way in Tencent bag yet, but. There are concerns I have because as a Destiny fan, guess who has a minority stake and who's at the board of the table? NetEase. And Bungie took that back. So, I'm monitoring with cautious eye here what's going on. So, yeah, it's a little, with Yakuza especially, it's a little disconcerting because, again, if you get a chance to play it, that is literally one of the most underrated games, of the year. It literally made me fall in love with a series I've never played before. And any person I get to play it, they come back to me. They go, Cog, yo, you was right. Like, this game's amazing. And I'm like, yeah, ran out door, play the damn game.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just what I got to say. So I'm watching, but I'm curious, your mindset with the Chinese government stuff and NetEase and Tencent and now this, like, where you at?
Yeah, I can't help but be concerned because I don't think anyone really saw the 3-hour limit coming, in the sense that, like, it was going to actually be enacted and it's there. And I just, what concerns me more is less of them poaching talent and setting up teams to make games. I think that's all fair business, really, in the scheme of things. Because we were just talking about Xbox, in a sense, poaching Kojima, who had his studio set up in tandem with PlayStation. So I think that's fair. What I'm worried about is, as they do investments in, like you talked about, like with Destiny, with Bungie, when they start to do that and they start to get the board of all of these big games, it can really send us down a narrow path where we've seen what happens when they get involved. Companies bend the knee real quickly. And I just think that is greatly concerning. And I would urge as many developers to resist as humanly possible something like this, because I'm sure the money that is offered is super attractive. And I understand the desire for budgets, talking to game devs and stuff. It's just like you want to get your idea done, and whoever's supplying that cash is, that's all that matters. But I also think what matters is the quality of your partner. And I think that, without beating a dead horse here, because it's pretty obvious, it's just, to me, worrying, because this is, as I said in the write-up, the first domino to fall. I don't think this is just going to be a instance, and that's it. We've already seen involvement across the board, and it will continue to spread. And I think the real danger could be, and I could backtrack on this a little bit, is if we see consistent talent poaching, like big time, across more than likely Japan, some of their big creators getting pulled for big bucks, of course. That's the type of stuff that I look at and go, I don't know. Yeah, especially in the case of Yakuza series creator. I mean, that's a pretty supreme talent to get. And then you got to think about what kind of business are you supporting if you were to buy these great looking games from these great creators. Right. That's something that's always under consideration. That's, of course, up to the consumer themselves to decide. I'm not here to tell you what to do, right? We said this with, me and Dustin said this on Ham as well, with Activision Blizzard and Diablo 2 Resurrected. And it's up to you to decide if you want to buy and support the devs or rebel and pocket your cash. However you choose to support is up to you at the end of the day. But it's definitely going to be another situation like that, where you got to think about where your money's going, kind of like with SNK. And it's just, it continues. And you got to be a little more wise and invested in where your money's going, I think.
Absolutely. Well said. Got to be cognizant.
Yeah. Cognizant.
Like that.
Number 4. Dead Space Remake had a presentation by EA Motive. We learned that Gunnar Wright is returning as Isaac Clarke. We got a little bit of a preview of some in-game footage comparing the original to the current build right now, which is very, very early in production. Cog, what did you think about anything that you saw during this?
I looked at it briefly, but I stopped because I'm like, good friend of mine told me I need to play the original. So I didn't want to get too deep with it, man. I was just like, they showing, because they were very, I watched the pre-talk, and they're like, look, it's alpha, it's so early. And there's a part of me that said, okay, I'm a peek.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I saw the lights go up in the back, and I'm like, all right. So I said, this is really for the hardcore. I'm going to back out of this. This is the Matty segment. So I want to know, this is your beloved franchise. I want to know Are they butchering it? Are you concerned? Are you like, yo, they may be getting it? Like, where are you at with this thing? Because I just took a purposely brief look and pulled away.
Sure. I don't think certainly they're butchering it. No, hearing Gunnar Wright's coming back is good to know, because that voice performance is iconic. This does confirm that they are going to definitely be rewriting parts of the story, though, because Isaac didn't talk in the first game. So with that, there's something that hangs in the balance where I look at it and get a little, I don't want to say concerned. There's no cause for concern, but I don't trust the writers at Motive. They've proven me otherwise twice now. So, that's just where I sit on that. But beyond that, visually looks fantastic already. You can definitely see that lighting is a strong factor in Dead Space, more than even I had estimated, because they were showing the step-by-step building process of the levels and how they put like textures and reflections on them. And then they're like, of course, lighting's a big part of Dead Space. And when they did that, that's when it looked like the USG Ishimura. And I went, okay, now I see it. So on a visual level, they're doing a fantastic job. I had really no doubt about that, because that will sell the game probably more than anything else, is when people see it and they go, ooh, that atmosphere. Ooh, that looks good. I got to say, graphics sell games. So if anything they're going to get right, it's going to be that. The story, the gameplay we have yet to see. I noticed one thing that they kept was the camera's always like anchored on your left shoulder. Even when you're rotating it, like you'll have Isaac on the left side of the screen and the whole camera will be open on the right side. Okay. I noticed that they still had that. So they are keeping elements that were arguably flaws, which I like to see.
Okay. Purity.
Yeah, exactly. So I just hope that they continue to do that. They said they brought in a couple of streamers to continue to give feedback. I know EA has a program where they get
game changers or something.
Yeah, and they get influencers and content creators in, and I don't know why anyone ever do this program as a side note, just because you literally wall yourself off from so much opportunity by giving them free, by the way, QA.
King is not about that. We have a joke at RP. We call them the beta boys.
Yeah.
And we have you like the Backstreet Boys, and we're doing free labor. Yeah. Like King is completely anti that. It's so funny you said that, Kadeem.
No, it's exactly that. It is a really under discussed problem, I think. And anytime creators come my way about it, I've been like, don't do it. But that's just from the outside looking in. So I know that they were helping host this stream. And so they were asking some what I thought were decent questions, and making them go through step by step, but it was pretty heavily scripted. And overall, yeah, I liked what I saw from EA Motive, but it's a number of years away. I do like their effort in transparency, saying like, yeah, we want to keep communicating with the audience, seeing what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong. And I hope that they do that with the audience, because I don't, once again, know how impactful Game Changers truly is. They'll say it is, but I'm saying a group of streamers who are just like playing whatever's new and popping off, telling you how to make Dead Space. I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
Hope they're picking true hardcore fans of that franchise, right? And one thing I respect, that I can add to it, as much as I'm a big Destiny fanboy, but one thing I respect is they do this Destiny summits, and they'll get, and it's what I like what they do, it's a varied group from the community. You have like some of the big guys, whether it be Rick Cackus, shout out to Cackus, he the homie, Cathalion or whoever, right?
Right.
And then sometimes they'll get people who are obscure, you never heard of, smaller channels, whatever, that are hardcore passionate in different areas, whether it be PvP, Gambit, lore, whatever. And they do a good job of really taking feedback to the point where I remember when Destiny 2 launched in a bad state, and a lot of the hardcore D1 guys were like, this is crap, you lost the essence. And they were like, okay, what can we do to make it better? They presented what Bungie presented to them, what they thought their vision was. It was resoundingly like frowned upon. They went back the next day, repurposed it based on the feedback, and now we're getting to the progression we have to get. Now I doubt EA is doing all this, but the point being said is it is very critical to get true fans of this series. AK, they need to be hollering at Mr. Matty Plays.
No, I don't want them to.
Not that you want to be a game, not that you want your beta boy game changer jersey, But they need to really, if whoever they're picking needs to be a hardcore friend, not, hey, I'm playing the game for free.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I know the community is going to be more than vocal about things. So time will tell. Right now, some encouraging signs visually, and getting Gunner right back is definitely good as well. So I'll wait till they can actually show more of the game in action to decide how I feel. But like I always say, Dead Space 1 is arguably a perfectly designed game. I'm not talking about narrative, but just, which I thought was good too. But I'm saying, like, just its design is arguably perfect. And so it's going to be really tough to do this. Where, once again, that was one of the questions they asked, is like, why are you doing a remake if the base game is already so good? And they kind of non-answered it. And to me, I'm just like, yep, that's about all I needed to hear. Because it's like, they're like, why are you doing it? In their head, they're like, how do we not say Resident Evil Remake made a fuck ton of money right
because
now?
Money.
They're like, cash.
The business, man. The business.
I get it.
We get it.
Number 5. New games are heading to PC. Square Enix continues to expand their reach with JRPGs as Bravely Default 2 has landed 1 million units sold on Nintendo Switch alone. Now, on November 1st, the series will make its move to Steam. On the complete other end of the spectrum, the newly announced Skate at EA Play 2020 has also confirmed a PC port, although not much else is known about the game at this moment in time. So just wanted to let the PC fans know more is on the way. Cog, any thoughts on these?
Yeah, listen, man, Square getting the bag, spread the platforms out, do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Skate, my boys over there. He was it's Xbox related, so I can mention it. He was the head of Xbox Live. Is now a game developer. Shout out to my boy Dan McCullough. He's over there heading that Skate thing. He's super passionate about that franchise. So be on the lookout for them. We'll definitely be monitoring because that's a guy that wanted to be a dev and he loves that. So I'm curious to see how that works out.
Hell yeah. I think it's just smart that Square is bringing these games to PC and not leaving them on one system like Octopath Traveler they did. I'm sure they got a lot of extra sales through that. So I think it's smart that they do that with Bravely Default, even I don't think that looks that great.
Yeah.
Number 6, Cyberpunk 2077 is well known for its tumultuous launch, and perhaps the criticism of rushing the game has finally begun to sink in for developer CD Projekt Red. In a meeting updating investors, Mikhail Nagokowski, who operates as the senior VP of business development, had the following to say, quote, the target to release the game, the next-gen version of Cyberpunk 2077 late this year. At the same time, keeping in mind the lessons we have learned during the past year and taking into account that this project still remains in development, we can't say with full certainty that the production schedule will not change. With The Witcher 3, the situation is slightly different in the way that this is being tackled by the external team mainly, which is Saber Interactive, the company that we have worked with before on Switch and also with updates in the past. As with Cyberpunk 2077, our goal is to release that game in late 2021. However, similarly, the development process is ongoing and we cannot be absolutely dead certain that the release schedule will not change. For the time being, we are definitely aiming with both titles for late 2021, and I don't want to be more specific at this moment in time. End quote. They're taking their time.
They're taking their time, which is good. We always want them to take their time. I'm just gonna reiterate what we kind of discussed on that great, Define Duke Ultimate Cyberpunk heart to heart kind of moment, which is, I don't want to see my baby until it's ready. Mm-hmm. So next gen update is what I'm waiting for. I'm not like super disappointed. You know what I'm saying? I can't be hypocritical, be like, yo, I needed it to be this year and Take your time.
Yeah, you're not taking a Halo Infinite approach to this one. Nope.
There we go. Do what you got to do. Make it right. I want it in its front form. And shout out to Saber, doing those. I know those guys, though. They were the ones that did that at NBA Playgrounds thing. I remember for Switch. Yeah, those at Saber. So salute to them. They're doing handling the ports. Witcher 3, I was surprised a little bit because okay, I thought they may be further along, whatever. But take your time, do what you got to do. Listen, the lineup for 2021, let's be real, is a lot too. So my question was always going to be, where, if it was ready, where were they going to slot it? Mm-hmm. Right? Where did you think they would possibly slot it, and what do you think in general?
I thought they would have slotted it in November. But beyond that, the issue with this is they have put themselves in such a shitty spot because Cyberpunk is come and gone. There are people who really liked it. There's people who obviously hate it. It's people who are really disappointed by it. And then you look at 2022, where there is going to be the combination of what is going to be a perfect storm for most, but not for CD Projekt Red, which is the second year of a new generation. A lot of games come out. Then pandemic games that were held back are also going to come out. So I highly expect there will be a whirlwind of game releases year round in 2022. Big time.
Agreed.
And all I'm saying is that the reason they're in such a shitty position is Cyberpunk may drop in 2022 and it may be in its best state. I don't know how many people are going to care by that point in time when they're getting the experiences in other places that would replicate the technical fidelity and the wow moments that Cyberpunk was boasting. That was sort of the sticking point for Cyberpunk is like, this is being done on PS4. This is being done on Xbox One, current PCs. But once we get to something like Elden Ring and whatever else, Starfield, that awaits us in 2022, that can really soften the blow that CD Projekt Red would have provided for people. So time is of the essence where you don't want them to rush it, but they probably are looking at knowing we got to release this thing and make sure people are willing to buy it. The Witcher 3 is a little bit different. It's a free update. But of course, with Cyberpunk, there's still post-launch support. Their DLC plans got pushed back. What DLC they've released has not been, exciting. It's just been clothes, new car. Yeah, it's
jackets.
Silly. Yeah, it's silly. So they're trying their best. I get it. But they're in a stickier situation than I think most give them credit for, because it's their own doing. So don't get me wrong on that one. But Cyberpunk, man, they have some steep competition to get up against here. And so they will have to have something very impressive to muscle them out. And I want to add this on because I saw No Man's Sky dropped another large update. And every time I look at it, I'm like, that's why this game has managed to crawl back, is because they over-delivered. And now it's at the point where, I don't know if people are expecting it, but I think they would willingly pay for something. Not that they should, by the way, because we'll take that free 99. But
oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know if the way they're structuring the DLC and what CD Projekt Red is going to be able to deliver will be able to deliver to overcome what has occurred here, because they're already announcing like, the expansions will be paid for. And that's at the same time as like the game's still in its broken state right now. We just learned that patch 1.3 broke part of the game when it came to its reflections. Like it completely deleted part of them.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like it's rough. I don't know how much of a rebound is possible here. I think it's really up to the quality of the expansions, which has to be top notch.
Yeah. We said it before. You said it great now. And we said it then before. I think the best thing they can do, again, is they're going to have to chart all the landmines of 2022 carefully as far as other competing releases, then combine with the fact that they have to make people care again, like how No Man's Sky did. But No Man's Sky is also dropping substantial content and they're not really charging you. So they to me, this screams the Game Pass bag. This screams dropping with the new expansion that you were going to pay for on other platforms. Xbox already has the marketing right. You give them the sweetheart deal because you just want the engagement and people playing. Next gen update. New, whatever this new thing is, that is expansion, not the DLC. And then it's like, now you're reintroducing it. Yeah. And people go, okay, new content, now it's looking better. I might give it a shot, but it's going to be an uphill battle for them. I don't envy them.
You are entirely correct. I think I am not even saying it because I want it. I already own the game. I happily bought it. I think the only path is Game Pass. I think that is the way you got to over-deliver in their style, is by saying like, just please play the game and let word of mouth marketing do its thing. Let YouTube analysis videos do its thing. If it's up to snuff, word will spread, and I think it will catch people's attention. But they need to get people in, because I don't think that they're going to find a lot of willing paying customers. It's going to be a whole group of people who are interested, but sitting back going, you go first. I ain't doing it. You go first.
Facts.
And I think that's the problem they're in. I'm sure a lot of people are, even who are listening right now, are very excited to learn more about this next gen update. I am. I loved the base game. I thought it was really fun. But you as well, Cog, you had played it for a couple hours and went, no, I'm going to wait.
Nah,
so
I don't
you're
want
in
to do it
that
because
position,
I was
right?
falling in love with it. Yeah, I mean, I was falling in love. I'm like, I just don't want to see it glitchy. I don't want to see it buggy. I want to see it push my console to the very limit of what it could really do. And, granted, the next gen versions were better versions of all the buggy stuff, but I don't want to see it like that. I really like that universe. I really like everything about what they were trying to accomplish, as ambitious as it was. So it's still sitting on my expansion slot. Every time I log on my Series X, oh, there's an update. Oh, wow, there's another one. 15 gig. All right, do your thing. It's just sitting there, and I'm waiting. Yep.
So we'll see in due time. I'm sure they'll make an announcement shortly. But for now, we move on to number 7, back to Xbox, which seems to continue to stumble on becoming a global brand as a new localization blunder has arisen, albeit a little bit old. Recently, Psychonauts 2 by first-party studio Double Fine released across Xbox consoles, PlayStation consoles, PC, and Xbox Game Pass. It would stand to reason, perhaps, that a first-party studio would have plentiful bounty with which to make their games more accessible and marketable. James Spafford, community manager of Double Fine, wrote the following on a forum post, quote, "We would love to add more languages to Psychonauts 2, and we are investigating to see if it could be possible at some future time. Script-wise, this is the largest game we've ever made, and adding even one extra language would take a lot of work and a lot of extra budget that we do not currently have. To add languages that use entirely different alphabets and have other considerations is an even bigger job still. We may get that chance, and we really hope we do, but we can't make any promises, and we also would not want to be able to do so in time for our launch." This post was made on August 19th and has only now been picked up by the news cycle. All right, Cog. So this is really interesting because I totally understand Double Fine's not to blame here. There is a huge undertaking when it comes to localization, translations, all that stuff is not to be underestimated. With that said, how do you feel about a first-party studio sitting there going, we don't got the budget? Is it because of the FIG campaign? Is that playing a factor here where it's something that they couldn't provide legally? I don't really understand why they wouldn't be able to do something like this.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange. I mean, I'm kind of giving them a pass, because correct me if I'm wrong. Like when this started initially as a Kickstarter project, right? As a project to try to gain interest and stuff like that. And look, I admit, the character's main name, I play a few hours, but the character's main name is Rasputin. You would think there's a Russian, language pack. And I saw some real vitriol from the Russian gaming community. Like, how is this,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did see some.
I saw it through a Xbox Korean account. That's how I found this. They had tagged me.
Yes, I know which account you're talking about because I respect that guy. And then one of my writers, I got to shout out Dal Chalash. He's from Croatia, and he really pointed out the problems Xbox has with localization and how he has to pick other languages and other stuff. And he made an article that really gained tremendous traction for us. And I think we did get Xbox to respond, but this is still a problem overall, right? I don't want to. In Psychonauts' case, I understand that they're small. They just got acquired. It's get across the multiple platform. I believe even the PS5 didn't get the upgraded or whatever.
Yeah, no next gen version. Yeah,
fine. I get that. I'm not going to kill them for that. But I do think this is an overarching problem that Xbox does have. If they are to take themselves seriously as a global brand, then you have to get your localization in order, especially when you're losing in these other territories, that, PlayStation sometimes have a dominance. Another writer, one thing, again, I'm very proud. I got to shout the home team, lordsofgaming.net, is that we have a very eclectic group of writers. Another one, my boy Mahmoud, who's an assistant editor, he's from Bahrain. And he has an article of what he put. It was great. It was like how to get consoles in Bahrain, right? And how it's different. The marketing is different. PlayStation's a bit more prominent here. It's very hard to get Xbox. You got to go through all these hoops, and then when you get it, you got the localization stuff. So these are strides, especially if they intend to do PC cloud gaming, especially, right? You need to get on that. That has to be a priority. And I'm not saying it's easy.
Yep.
There's probably a lot of resources. I get it. But if you're going to take it to the next level, this has to be taken care of. There's just no excuse for it. That's it. So Psychonauts, I understand.
Yeah. And extremely valuable perspective there that you provided because at the end of the day, I know a lot of people look at this and go, well, Microsoft has the money, so they should do it. But they still look at it like a business is it worth doing for them and for the IP. I have no doubt Double Fine wants to do this just like you. I'm not really hammering Double Fine for this. I know they'd do it if they could. It's really just a situation where I think if you're a first party studio, your game should be as accessible as possible. I know that can't be the standard for all games, but I think Xbox should be doing all it can to make anything that they're putting out from first party studio day one on Game Pass to be available to as many people as possible. Because that's part of their global expansion, right? Is getting people to sign up for Game Pass. And you want to be able to just download the game for free, play it, and wherever you're from, you can access that. So
Preach.
I think that's pretty important for them to look into, but something I wanted to spotlight, even if it was a little bit late. It was only just now getting picked up by news cycles, so it was passed my way.
Cool.
Number 8. Those hungry for Bethesda Game Studios' newest IP were able to whet their appetite this week thanks to some new location insights dropped by the development team. 3 planets were described, which also brought to light unheard of factions for this new universe. First is Neon, a city built upon a giant fishing platform. Upon fishing, they discovered one with psychotropic properties, which were then converted into a drug to be sold, which was much more profitable than fish. Since then, people from all over will visit Neon to enjoy this new drug, as it is only legal there and everything else the city has to offer. New Atlantis is the second city we learned about. It's the capital city of the United Colonies. The United Colonies are described as the most powerful and established military and political faction in the game. The city of New Atlantis is referred to as a melting pot and designed to reflect the true future of our world. Lastly is Aquila, the capital city of the Freestar Collective, which is a loose confederation of 3 distinct star systems. The theme of this city is personal freedom and individuality. However, beyond its walls lies danger, such as an Ashta, which is defined as a crossover between a wolf and a velociraptor. So those are just 3 planets that they briefly tapped into. But beyond that, the game has entered a news cycle briefly as Aaron Greenberg shut down any suspicion of the game coming to platforms beyond Xbox and PC, saying the following, quote, Starfield will be launching exclusively on Xbox Series X and S on PC, and PC on November 11th, 2022. Game Pass members can play it day one as well on Xbox and PC. I know we have said this before, and none of that has or will change. We have tried to be as clear as possible. It is not a timed exclusive. This is simply where the game is being made, end quote. This is all in response to a snippet of a Pete Hines interview, which mentioned Starfield's exclusivity, but said that Bethesda will not quite be done on PlayStation. Really, this second half is what consumed the news cycle, as yet again, we're back to talking about, are Bethesda games going to be exclusive? If you got any thoughts on the lore, of course, let me know. But more than anything, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what's going on with Xbox and the status of them explaining when their shit is exclusive.
Yes, here we go again. Here we go.
Deja vu.
Deja vu. Real quickly on the lore, I'm super excited for Starfield.
Yeah,
I am like
looking forward
giddy.
to it.
You know, I've been trying to stay away from this. When I get really excited and hype about something, I've been trying to stay away. So reading about those 3, I'm like, all right, you know what I'm saying? I'm hyped. So look, it is what it is. But back to this stuff again, and it's just like, look, when I see elements in the community and it's this narrative of, well, there's still a chance, right? There's still a chance, right? And I'm just like, look, you know, for people who are on the other side who still say, you know, there's still a chance, whatever, all I say is this. The nature of this deal, this is ZeniMax. This is a lot of properties, right? And Matty, you'll probably explain this better than me. But the way I look at it is like legacy stuff, you know, Quake, you know, older, like if we're going to remaster Fallout 3, maybe you get that, you know, maybe you get that, right? But the reality is every new IP, this is how I interpret it, right? And now it was said, in every place where Game Pass exists is where these new stuff is going to happen, right? So the Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, all that is sequels to existing stuff. That is going to be exclusive to Xbox. So for anyone who is still struggling with this, you know, it's just one of those things where it's just like, it ain't happening, dog. Like, I hate to break it to you. It's just not happening. And the only reason why you're not getting this bold, see, people want people to say, they want Microsoft to go, yo, you ain't never getting this. Like, they are not going to do that. One, marketing looks terrible. too contractually in business, right? There are still some of that legacy stuff that they have to make decisions on. That's how I interpret it, right? So again, what I find hilarious is at one moment, people who are other platform holders, as soon as they heard the announcement, now it's Bethesda. Now all of a sudden Bethesda's quality is not great. But I find it interesting that the minute there's a sliver of hope that they feel that this can come to their platform, then it's all of a sudden, yo, we can still get it. Yeah. You see, so let's stop the console warring. Let's stop the fanboyism, right? And if you truly want to play this game, pick it up on Xbox, pick it up on PC. It's all good. But I just find it hilarious that not only did Pete Hines had to come out and re-clarify his statement to the community, Aaron Greenberg then had to come back. And I feel bad for them because I feel like, and I hate to get, fanboy and console what, but I just feel like, why is it only Xbox has to answer these questions? Like, we don't go to Nintendo and be like, yo, Nintendo, so you saying Marvel Alliance 3 ain't coming to such and such? Like, we don't go to Sony like, so Sony, you mean to tell me Ghost of Tsushima there's no chance? Like, it's this level of entitlement, and it's just like, stop it, guys. Like, this is what it is. And I'm just from that era that I'm like, yo, I'm a gamer. I'm going where the games are. If the game that I want is over there, I'm going to buy it. But rant over, that's where I'm at. Absolutely. I was just, here we go again.
Yeah, I know. It makes you sink in your chair a little bit. You're like, oh boy, got to explain it again. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I had said in a video, I was like, once again, not to be like in your face Xbox fan, because I think that shit's pretentious and annoying, but it's just like, just accept it, right? Not because we want consolidation, because we want less people to play these games, but this was something that was going to strengthen both sides of each company, right? So Bethesda can actually focus on making games and not molding their IP into live service games. And Xbox has a stronger portfolio of exclusives. And I don't know why it's become so hard to comprehend the idea that new content will be exclusive, which we have seen displayed clear as day. And when I mean new content, I'm not talking new IP. I mean, like, if there's a Doom 3, it's a Wolfenstein 3, if there's Elder Scrolls 6, it will be exclusive. If it is a re-release like Quake or Skyrim, those will go to other systems. The reason I say that is because, think of it this way. Put yourself in Xbox's shoes. Will that sell their console? Will that sell you Game Pass? You could make a small argument. Yeah, if you're hitting like the right person, maybe. But in all actuality, it's the new releases that will get people over. And so as a business, they are going to lock all of that down without hesitation, as they should, by the way. And it's their right to. They own them now, so they can do what they wish with their products. I mean, that's sort of the game that Bethesda has to play now. What I will take umbrage with,
let's go.
I'm not saying you got to step on their throat, Pete Hines, but you got to stop playing both sides of the fence, man. You got to stop playing nice. I'm just saying there's a way to be respectful and direct, and not saying, I'm a PlayStation player. I get it. I understand why you're sad. Starfield's going to be exclusive, but I'm sorry. No, stop, man. Just stop. I've met Pete. I love Pete, man. Great guy, but Pete, come on, man. It's like watching. I'm like, you could tell he's really wrestling with the idea of making shit exclusive, and I get it, right? Like maybe he was one of the people who wasn't on board with it. I don't want to assume, but like that's the feeling I'm getting from reading it. It's like he doesn't want to quite say it's all done with. Maybe he's just really following the legality of it all. I'm not 100% sure because, yeah, like you said, there's these technicalities of a Skyrim anniversary, of Quake remaster, of a Fallout remaster, things like that. But I mean, I read what Pete's saying, and this is twice now. The first time I gave him leash, right? He was like, no, I'm not apologizing. Like, that's not what I'm doing. This time again, he's just like, bringing up being a PlayStation player. I'm like, all right, dude. Like, dude, we get it. Like, you guys working with Xbox doesn't mean you hate PlayStation. Most people with a brain have figured that out, that there's not this hatred that the fans try to brew. But I think that's at the heart of the problem. Sorry, you were going to say something?
No. I think you're onto something because, for me, when I analyze Pete, I just think he's like this really nice guy, and
Absolutely
he's very. So you met him, right?
Yeah. I've
so like
talked to them pretty extensively.
Awesome.
Very
Awesome.
nice guy.
So I could only go by from the outside looking in. And, when I look at it, he just seems like he's very empathetic. So I think it's coming from a place of empathy. But to your point, the problem is when that's what gives other platform holders this hope, this glimmer of hope, when it kind of needs to be not, violently snuffed out. But, we know what the reality is. So the last point I say
also
is...
real quick, I just want to toss out there that it's not really marketing fairly to the people who are buying your products, right? It's not even like, oh, let's stop the speculation on one end. It's like the people who are now your main customer don't know. And you got to make it clear to them. Sorry, go on.
Right. No, last point is, I mean, you killed it with that too. Like, last point is like one thing for me, when going to E3s, the reason why I feel he struggles, and I feel sometimes maybe as a organization, it may be an internal thing where it's just empathy, is because one of my favorite things going to E3 was always the Bethesda conference showcase. That is by far, like, it was the most fun, the most fan service, the most everything. And they really show out for their community. So I think, and the drinks were always good. The food was fantastic. And then shout out to everybody.
Yeah, like, PAX East, man. They had a I was testing Wastelanders, and my girlfriend and my two best friends got fucking drunk in the meantime.
Bro, I got stories to tell you. Me and King at E3 Bethesda showcase. Dude, we're pounding. I got Michael Packton here. This one there. I'm like, and it's unlimited. It was just like, oh, this is now I want to go here every year. I would get mad if I didn't get the Bethesda invite. I was like, yo, it's a movie, bro. But yeah, like, they care about their fan base.
Yeah,
that's the vibe, the culture. And I think Pete may fall into that. He doesn't want to be the bad guy kind of dude. And I think that's what he's struggling with.
I think you're entirely correct. I know for some people it is hard to envision that. And yeah, I'll throw it out there. Like, there's maybe some bias because, like I said, I've interacted with Pete extensively, and I think he's a really great dude. So
dope.
I do think, like, yeah, he is the nice guy. Like, he doesn't want to upset anyone. And he comes across a little bit passive when he's in these interviews. Like, he's not trying to upset anyone. And I think with that careful hand, he has upset some people. So he's a little more direct. That's all.
Fair enough.
All right, let's move on to some also upsetting news for some. Number 9, after the reveal of Halo Infinite's release date, one lingering question hung above fans' heads. Where is the campaign? After an underwhelming reveal in August of 2020, we have only seen CG trailers, which seems to be keeping the plot close to its chest. Head of creative Joseph Staten took the bull by the horns to answer this pressing question. In the latest Inside Infinite posted on the Halo Waypoint, he wrote that the team has definitely heard complaints over the lack of gameplay for the campaign, but it is due to 343's focus on polish at the moment as they are in, quote, shutdown mode, end quote. He describes it as, quote, a critical phase in the flight that is Halo Infinite, so it's extremely important to avoid distractions and stay focused on mission-critical tasks only. For campaign, that means putting maximum effort into ensuring the wide-open, adventure-filled experience that we all get to play on December 8th is as great as it can possibly be. Gameplay demos and trailers not only take a huge amount of effort to do well, they also take cycles away from bugs and other shutdown tasks, end quote. He does attempt to ease concerns that gameplay footage and trailers will arrive when they, quote, get this plane on the ground, end quote. As an aside, it was confirmed by 343 community manager John Junchik on Twitter that Halo Infinite's progression will be tied directly to the Battle Pass. He states that, quote, even though this means no per-match XP at launch, you'll still always be progressing through challenges and therefore the BP, end quote. The daily challenges are not as difficult or not quite infinite like in name, but John says it's extremely difficult to run out of said daily challenges. All right, Cog. Now, we had once again, not to keep pushing it, but we had a pretty extensive talk about Halo Infinite.
Tell them what the name was. Tell them what the name was. There we go.
We're going to gut check again here. How do you feel about their reasoning behind the missing campaign gameplay? We are recording this September 1st.
Yes.
We're just a little over 3 months out, and they're saying that they're in shutdown mode, polishing everything up, and that they can't show anything quite yet until it is polished.
Right. And according to our friend good James Staten, he played the campaign. He's loving it. He's enjoying it, right? And what was expressed was they don't want to take, which is true, there's some validity to this, which is like take resources and stuff away to construct a demo or vertical slice or whatever it may be to us because it would take away valuable resource. Mm-hmm. But as we said in the gut check, and we will reiterate, is that when we hear things like that this close and this late, in development, it does show a cause for concern as to how they're going to land this plane, and that they are literally, trying to get this thing in the 11th hour. So that's where we are with at least I definitely am, what I'm saying, with the co-op campaign cut, the Forge cut, this is another thing that we can't show right now, what I'm saying, kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So you're hoping for the best.
Of course.
We're not wishing evil on them. We just want the community to realize and be cognizant that, they may be coming in hot, and it's okay to be concerned. It's okay to be like, hey, haven't seen this thing. What's going on? The question that I want to propose to you that I forgot to ask is like, do you think they will do a campaign reveal at all between now and launch?
I have a theory.
Let's get it.
I think they picked December as a release window because they felt that they could have everything done by November. And so in that next month, they would give us what we were looking for. I think we're going to get another technical preview before then because, in my opinion, I would say almost assuredly the multiplayer is further along than the campaign in terms of quality and polish, because they had the confidence to not only show it, but let us play it, even if it was a tiny vertical slice. So I feel like we have to see the campaign once more. I just think it's going to cut it close. Okay. And I think it's going to get to the point where fans are going to get restless because we, in my opinion, should have seen it 1 year later, almost to the date, at Gamescom. That should have been the time to be like, here's another look at our campaign. Here's the release date. To me, that was the perfect time to do so. And the fact that they didn't showcases that it's still a ways off. And it's why you and I have gone in on the idea that, look, it's not even anything to do really with co-op and Forge, because maybe it just needs like 2 more months or another month. But this idea that the game needs to be out this year, we're going to keep beating that drum. And the only reason for that is because if this game comes out and it's broken, you get to listen to all these episodes and go like, they were saying it. Mm-hmm. They were saying it. And I think it's just so important to emphasize that the campaign for Halo, it's one of the few FPS games outside of, I think, of Doom, Wolfenstein. Those are really the first 2 that come to mind where the campaign matters. Arguably more to an extent. Maybe not in the case of Infinite, but in previous Halo games, more than the multiplayer component. That is exceedingly rare. And for us to have gotten one look, and the campaign itself on a mechanical level and a concept was very encouraging. I remember seeing it, being excited. Visually, that was the biggest concern. Animations, that was the biggest concern. It seems like they've right the wrongs there. But we need to see with our own eyes. I am not going to take the word, by the way, of any developer just saying, it's fun. I played it again, and it's good. It's like, dude, you're working on it. You've worked on Halo your whole life. Like, I know you're going to like it, Joe. I know you're going to like it, man. That's like me getting hired by Bethesda and going, I've played Starfield. And I got to tell you, this is one of Bethesda's best games. It's like, no shit, I'd be saying that, right? Because like, if I'm working for them and I've had a history of liking their games, like, yeah, surprise. Right? Surprise. Not that I'm saying I'm going to like Starfield. More so the idea is like, if I'm hired there, like they obviously don't want him to go, level 3 could have been a lot better. Like, he ain't going to do that. It's not.
I wasn't really feeling this.
Yeah. I feel like the execution here wasn't great. He's not going to be saying that. So like, I'm not going to take what someone who's working for the company says and run a mile with it. It just doesn't work well. I get it though. I get why people want this.
How dare you question this, Matty? How dare you?
Oh, see, I understand. Like, I understand.
You're fear mongering. You're fear mongering.
No, that's what we're. There's a desire for this game to be very good, and people want to see it immediately. I understand, but if they're not confident to show the campaign now,
right?
Then when? Right.
Then when? Yeah. And sorry if
no, that's it. I was done.
Yeah, it's that, and then obviously we'd be remiss if we didn't touch on the infamous XP situation.
Go for it.
And, I struggle with this big time, PvP guy, I'm that guy, to not be able to consistently play just by wins and gameplay and earn experience is a big deal, because playing with challenges, you are forcing play style. Make sure you get 15 kills with the bulldog. Make sure you get 20 kills with the sniper. I hate snipers. You know what I'm saying? So I suck with them. And notoriously in every PvP, I've always been horrible. Like, so to limit that into these challenges, right? Now they go out and they say, oh, there's going to be a good amount, but what's the number, right? How many? Is it 3? Is it 5, right? If I don't do that, I'm now significantly behind someone else that does that. And the main thing is forcing unfun play styles. I hate that. The other thing is Halo is an arena shooter, right? So, there's nothing more worse than seeing 4 Spartans huddle up by the spawn of the rocket launcher, because they need 2 rocket launchers. And now it's a game within the game. You're not playing the game to have fun. You're playing the game competing with other players who may snatch that weapon from you, and now you're all destroyed. Now you get killed. You're not playing right. It's just... It goes down a slippery slope. I really hope they revisit this. I really hope that they take the feedback. They've been good with feedback everywhere else. I read those notes. They're very, one thing what I realized with them is I have to give them this. I'm a Bungie fan. I do the Last Word podcast. We basically break down this week at Bungie. And Bungie is notoriously known to be vague with certain statistics and certain figures and stuff like that. But 343 is very transparent. They were like, oh, we noticed this. We know we changed this reticle. We noticed you guys didn't like that. They've got to be hearing this. So all I can hope is that, look, still make core gameplay and match playing and wins a integral part of progression, right? And then have this additive stuff. This should be additive, not the core experience. But rant over. That's what I got.
Exactly what I said. So I got nothing more to add on to that. Yeah. And especially you speak with more authority on the multiplayer front than I do. And I can only say that I just have the fear that it encroaches into monetization, which is nothing more than a fear. So I don't want to actualize it, but I think it's worth talking about because with Game Pass and its free to play nature, that they're going to want to push it. It's their business model. That's the route that they're taking. And I think there's something exciting about that with the idea of Halo being reignited. Especially with like the clear inspiration. Like I look at the box art, like I love Halo 1. I get so much Halo 1 vibes from it. But for me, I'm more open-minded to seeing how this battle pass goes, because if some of those challenges are just reoccurring, like win a game, or get 10 kills, and they just keep looping those and you keep getting good progress. But I do wonder about when that caps out, and the idea that like once you're in the higher levels, getting those looping challenges, is that going to be still valuable to you and your battle pass? How does that progression work? So we'll see, because they got some good things going, right? You brought this up in our talk. You mentioned how they have battle passes that you can play whenever. So there's no FOMO. Like, yes, that's great. But do they slow down the progression so then you're paying a little bit more? There's a lot of things that will have to shake out at launch that we just can't predict. This is one of them. Unless they give us, like, when we play one of the flight tests, they go, this all carries over. Then we'll actually get an early look. But outside of that, I think it's going to be some time till we know for sure. And so that's why a lot of my worries and frustrations are sort of put into the campaign section. I think it's time to see that again.
Fair enough.
Number 10, final bit of news. Coming soon to Xbox Game Pass. It begins with Craftopia in-game preview on cloud, console, and PC through the ID at Xbox program. It arrives September 2nd alongside Final Fantasy 13 on console and PC. Signs of the Sojourner, cloud, console, and PC. Surgeon Simulator 2, cloud, console, and PC through ID at Xbox. That's all for September 2nd. Then September 7th, we get Crown Trick on console and PC through ID at Xbox. And ID at Xbox, they're popping off with these next 3. Breath Edge, Nuclear Throne, Artful Escape, all console and PC except Breath Edge, which is cloud, console, and PC. September 9th. Then, leaving Xbox Game Pass, September 13th. See you later, Red Dead Online. It's leaving cloud and console. And September 15th, Company of Heroes leaves PC Game Pass. Disgaea 4 leaves PC Game Pass. Forza Motorsport 7 leaves cloud, console, and PC. Hot Shot Racing leaves cloud and console. The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics leaves cloud, console, and PC. And Thronebreaker The Witcher Tales, don't miss out on this one, leaves cloud and console. That's once again happening September 15th. Anything when it comes to new additions or omissions that stuck out to you here?
The omission, I would say you better get that Forza. You better get that 7 because we talked about it, right? And we talked about the whole, reasoning of why it's getting pulled off and things, attached to, either musical licenses and stuff like that.
Right.
So that's one of those that, even if you don't care too much, maybe not right now, it's good to have because you won't get it again. But Thronebreaker I heard good things about as well. So I always like actually that you add the what's leaving. You know what I'm saying? So people are very cognizant, get it done if you was procrastinating or whatever kind of thing. Indeed. And then obviously Final Fantasy, that's a big get as far as I was going to ask you for you, like any of these that really kind of stuck out.
Yeah, for me, it's Final Fantasy 13. I know that the audience was going to rip me apart for this one, but I like 13 as a series. 13, the first one, which is what they added, is very flawed and definitely the weakest of the three. It's super disgustingly linear. But if you get through that, 13-2 is wonderful, in my opinion. I love 13-2. And honestly, I could argue you could just watch a summary of 13 and just move on with your life. But I'm just happy it's there. Console and PC. Give it a shot if you have yet to, maybe. Yeah, maybe a little bit of a preview for Game Pass Pick of the Week. I don't know.
No doubt. Let's see.
Speaking of which, it's time for that. Cog, this week, it's your pick. The news is done. What are you giving us?
All right. So, confession time for Cog. Got to have a confession now.
Okay.
I have a guilty pleasure. And a guilty pleasure of a genre that I'm very normally embarrassed to say publicly is your boy like walking simulators.
Oh.
Low key. Like I love when The Walking Dead first came out, I really gravitated towards that. Started with Clementine and Luke and all that. I'm a big Detroit Became Human fan.
Right.
I like Life is Strange. If the narrative is good, your boy is it. You know what I'm saying? So I got one. This one surprised me. Last Stop, bro.
Right.
All right. What I could say about it, okay, it is very cool the way this is done. Right. It is 3 separate stories going on at the same time. The art style is really, really nice. Like, it's really charming. Like, it's usually with walking simulators outside of Detroit, let's be honest, the kind of engine be a little janky. You know what I'm saying, Gavin? Nah, bro. World class. All right. The game is based in UK, Britain. It's very charming, Britain, modern day Britain. And like the music is phenomenal. That's another thing. The voice acting is phenomenal. It's really well done. It's very well produced. I think they got like the Philharmonic Orchestra, a certain section. Like there's some money being put in here from this walking simulator bag. The reason why it resonates with me is 2 things. One, I got full disclosure. I have some family in the UK, in London.
Oh,
so when the times I go over there, right, every couple of years, go visit, like, bro, like the game is so British and so well done that I was getting nostalgic feels like I was there. Like the detail with every little thing, the houses, everything, like the people, the talk, everything. I was like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like they don't call the train, they call it the tube. Like everything is great. So look, the core elements of this. There are 3 separate stories going on. I'm not going to spoil it. At the end of the day, think UK Stranger Things.
Oh.
Right? That kind of vibe. Now, it's probably going to run you a couple hours. Not a super long game, but it probably runs you about, like maybe 6 to 8. You'll get it out. I will say this. What they were attempting to do is extremely ambitious. Like where this thing is going, it gets dark, man. It has a dark twist.
Really?
So I'm like, ooh, okay. And then the way they put it together is amazing. I will say the ending is a little controversial. Some may not like. You know what I mean? And I get that. It's valid. This is a conversation that I like having with people after they've beaten it, and the only complaint would be like some people be like, hey, they didn't land that. And that's valid. But it is so good, in my opinion, it's worth the experience.
Right.
So Last Stop is out there. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
Check it out. It's quick. It's a quick romp. You don't want to think about something that's going to be a 20-hour. You just get in, you get out, and you got some critical choices you got to make. Cool. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, so it's choice driven and stuff. That bit going on. It's decent, man. It's decent. You should check it out. It's worth it.
It's funny because I remember seeing that at, I think it was the first ID Xbox showcase, and they gave this thing like 10 minutes of gameplay, and this shit looked so awkward. Like that.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it. It was a guy in he was trying to sneak through an office to get to
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know how to say this, Cog. I was just like,
well, say it.
Kind of looks dumb. And I'm guessing that there was more beyond it, but what they showed was not remotely encouraging. Good job, yeah. Not remotely encouraging. So I believe you on it, right? I know you know what you're talking about, but
look, is it going to be for everyone? No. You got to be in your walking simulator bag, right? That's number one. If you're not ready to do that, then this is definitely not for you.
Yeah.
And then two, it is so well voice acted from just personal relationships, and they tackle some different issues. But where it heats up is the Stranger Things-y stuff. And you're like, yo, what is that? What is going on? Oh, and it got to the point where I'm like, oh, no, I got to know what the hell happened. Like, no, we not just going to end the chapter like this. Like, no, it's one of those. Right. So you like, okay, chapter, okay, boom, boom, boom. And it gets funny. It's hilarious. It's really good. Again, is there some clunk? Is there,
sure,
the greatest thing? But it to me, it's worth the price of admission. You have to experience it, in my opinion. So that's what I got. Last night. Check it out.
All right. With that pick done, we move into the finale with our 5 ending questions for the show. It starts off with Kedgel Dirk, who writes in, hey, Mortal Matty and Combat Cog. Will Psychonauts 2 get a physical release? It's out on Game Pass or the digital store, but no disc to buy in real stores. I know I am the way of dinosaurs, but I love my physical collection. Keep up the great work. Greetings from Belgium. Greetings to you, Kedgel. Thank you so much for writing in. I want to say yes, but I don't think they're going to, because Xbox, Jez touched on it ever so briefly, and I agree with him emphatically, is that I don't know why Xbox ain't working with limited run. I don't know what's going on there, but Xbox has to get involved. And once again, this is a weird moment where why isn't your first party game getting a little bit of physical print? I don't understand that either. There's something with reach and discovery that's being missed here with Psychonauts 2. And I'm not saying it's a sign of what's going to happen with all their games, right? But something definitely worth keeping your eye on here. Yes. So I don't think they're going to give it a physical release. But Cog, what about yourself? Where do you sit on this one?
I still think that it's probably not going to happen. I still look into the origins of Psychonauts 2. And from a business decision, I think they probably say, look, we helped get you across the line. We promoted. And I would be shocked unless it's one of those. I think it would have to be one of those things that obviously the critical reception has been very positive, right? Metacritic has been strong. It may be one of those things that let's just say now it does win a game, because some people are saying Game of the Year contender. Some people a lot of people have been saying stuff like this. So let's just say it really does well at the Game Awards, right? Then I could see a situation maybe down the road they may try to do some special edition. But to your point, like what you said and what Jess said, like they need to really partner with like a limited run and really get that physical collection thing going, because they do a phenomenal job. I got the Streets of Rage limited run from those guys. I loved it. Streets of Rage 4-1. It was fantastic. A lot of nostalgic feel. It had like a Genesis case. I was like, damn, I feel it. So I would like it. I'm with you though. Don't know if it's going to happen at this stage of the game, now. So.
It typically takes some time. There's rare situations like what happened with Quake where they announced it and then limited run was there, ready, involved. Right. Those types of situations do occur. But if you noticed, even Quake, Switch, PlayStation, no Xbox. Once again, if anyone from Xbox is listening, get on the phone, call your people, get in on limited run, put value into owning your games beyond just downloading them. Trust me.
Valid.
Zoo writes in, hey, Dukes, what are your thoughts on Destiny 2, The Witch Queen not being available on Game Pass? Is this a big loss for Microsoft after being able to get Beyond Light in previous expansions last year? And what does it potentially signal? I had assumed this partnership would continue. Much love, and I hope you guys have a pre-buff Mythoclast type day. That's a COG reference that only you can get. All right.
Good.
Let's pass it to you, man. I obviously, when it comes to Destiny, I'm just, now that everyone knows you're the Destiny guy, I'm throwing it in there like every week. If someone's got something specific where I'm like, yeah, it seems like a relevant topic. So what do you make of the latest expansion not really making its way to Game Pass day one?
I was wrong here. I thought this was a slam dunk. I thought this was a
think
go.
So, though? I don't blame you.
Yeah, I thought this was a go. It just made me think, okay, what's going on here? And to me, Witch Queen made perfect sense to be in Game Pass the way Beyond Light was, which was unheard of at the time. A big expansion free into Game Pass. We saw no announcement. I remember Bungie, they had, when you looked at the statement on the technical details and the release details, you saw no mention of it. So, it's one of two things. One, there's a big little civil war in the community right now with Bungie as far as the 30th anniversary of Bungie, right? And what has happened is Witch Queen got delayed. Witch Queen was supposed to come out. Usually Bungie's expansions come out like September, October, fall, that fall, right? Witch Queen got delayed to February 2nd, right? Mm-hmm. As a result, we were like, damn, we're just going to have a long seasonal content, regular season. Basically, we're going to have an extended season that would normally end in September, now going into February. Then they came out with we're doing the Bungie 30th anniversary, right? Mm-hmm. And we're giving you these dungeons and reprise stuff and the beloved mythic galore, this iconic weapon associated. Like, people have been screaming from the rooftops, when is that coming back? So the thing is, this content is $25 and locked behind that. So you can only get this stuff if you buy this thing. So all that showed me is they are not missing out on the financial quarter. You know what I'm saying? They're not missing out. Basically, they have money that they were expecting as an independent studio, right? There, and then they're going to cash on that. It's perfect marketing. People are going to buy this thing. They can say whatever they want when it drops. So to the question, what Jay is saying is that I'm not going to rule it out. I'm still going to hold on as we get closer. I'm curious to see as January, because remember, you can pre-order Witch Queen Super Deluxe with extra cheese edition for like $100-something, and it comes with this big ghost shell collector's thing. It comes with all these bells and whistles. So part of me is like, they're going to get that money first, right? Mm-hmm. The second question comes down to, which is the surprising one, which is the metrics on Beyond Light. So when I see them not re-up, it's either one or two things. One side of this deal, because you said it perfectly earlier, Matty, it has to be beneficial for both, right? So when I look at Microsoft's metrics, again, outside looking in, I don't have the playbook, I look at Destiny in the top 10 of games played all the time since it's been in Game Pass. It is consistent. It has not dropped. Then I look at, Bungie and what maybe the bag needs to be bigger for them to do it next time. Maybe they like, look, we gave you all this again. There is some slight disconnect that, in my opinion, why they couldn't come back to the table there. So that's, again, I'm theorizing. That's my theory. Yeah.
It's the possibility that they threw in Beyond Light, which I know it was big, right? But they sort of gave Xbox fans a great starting point to experience all this content. So then when the new thing came out, which this new Witch Queen thing sounds significant, that, this is the one you pay for because you've gotten all this for free. So it sort of works in their favor in the long run.
And theoretically, Destiny is still in Game Pass as a free-to-play. You can still do basic things in Destiny. So they may say, hey, that was the one-off. Right. You got it. They can play. They could get in, and then they see all their friends playing Witch Queen. Now they're going to pay that $25 to $30 for Witch Queen. So it could be one of those things where it's just like, friends with benefits. We ain't got a date. We ain't got to put a ring on it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can still hang out, though. We can hang. You know what I'm saying? That's what it looked to me. So it's just one of them type situations. I still think there's a chance, but, you know, it's just business. I think it's business. But I was surprised. I thought it would happen again.
Yeah,
so
and I don't think you were wrong for assuming that. I thought as much as well. Don Otaku writes in, Sup Lord Matty and Mr. Cognito plays. Oh. I'm coming back with another hard game of sorts for you guys. I asked the question about cutting one Xbox staple genre in half to make more third-person games, but I changed my name. First, list each of your 3 most anticipated first-party Xbox games in order, only announced games. Your number 1 game will come out at the beginning of next year, 0 bugs and no cut content. Your number 3 game will be delayed to the end of the console generation, but your number 2 game will be canceled forever. However, you can pick any Microsoft-owned IP or an IP that was previously Xbox exclusive, for example, Jade Empire, Mech Assault, etc., that hasn't been already announced to replace your number 2. Have fun with this one. I hope you guys have a peanut butter and jelly, or peanut butter but no jelly, cereal but no milk kind of day. Oh no. P.S. I have to call fraud alert on Matty. Fraud alert. Oh my God.
Damn.
I caught up on a previous episode and I have to say this. The Ace Attorney series is better than Danganronpa in every way, except for Danganronpa having more gameplay besides point and click. Don't let him lead you down the wrong path, Cog. Play the superior franchise, Ace Attorney.
You want to handle your business first? You want to handle that?
No, see, the thing is, I need my Danganronpa fans to activate. I was really disappointed in our audience, right? And you're probably, Matt, how can you say that? I was disappointed because I go in there, I see people fighting the battle of Ace Attorney. I see no one fighting the battle of Danganronpa going like, yo, Matt's right. I see a lot of people, though, going like, yo, you disrespecting Ace Attorney like that. I get it. They're going to be a little more vocal. Danganronpa fans just know. And I need those fans to stop knowing and start speaking. So I'm requesting that this episode, they get active, they get involved, because I'm not going to deal with this slander. It's better. It's better, objectively. Now, with that, your top 3 most anticipated first-party Xbox games that are announced. And your number 2 is going to get replaced by any owned IP or IP that was previously announced.
See, he can't do this to me because my the 3 is Halo Infinite 1, Starfield 2, and Hellblade 2, 3. And you ain't taking my Starfield from me. We not canceling that forever. No. So I can replace it. So he basically said number 2 will be canceled forever. However, you can pick any Microsoft IP in it. That hasn't been announced. So yeah, Starfield's clearly getting replaced because you're not taking Starfield from me forever. That's not happening. So if I'm going to replace Starfield, I'm probably, and it's going to be cut forever.
Yeah. Do you just move up your number 3 into number 2? Logically, that would be.
You ain't touching my Hellblade.
No, you can't give up anything, huh?
You ain't touching it. Right. So we're going to throw something completely different in that slot then, because I can't have that. I can't have that. Is Minecraft for Sea of Thieves coming out with it? Because I don't care about that. They can go all the way in the bush as far as I'm concerned, because this is selfish COD.
They've had their run.
Yeah, they've had their run. This is me. I don't care about the business at this point. This is just me. So yeah, that would be the point of content. What about your 3, and what are you removing from the ether into the ether?
My top 3. Let's see here. I think Starfield's got to be sitting at number 1, realistically. You know, there's stuff like Fable and Avowed, which are floating around where I'm like, that could be in there. But I think Starfield, realistically, is the one that I'm really looking forward to more than any of those games. Who knows if it delivers as much. Number 2.
Careful.
Yeah, I really got this. Is a landmine I'm about to step on here. All right. I gotta say, I'm
Matty, no.
Halo Infinite.
No, Matty, no. You ain't gonna do it.
I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go in and fall on a sword here. Halo Infinite's number 2.
Oh, he did. Yeah. He did. Forever. The ether.
See you later.
Oh no! Comment, boys. This is y'all chance. Y'all know y'all gonna get. He don't like Forza. They gonna say he don't like Forza. He don't like Halo. He. You feed the narrative.
We're canceling 343 forever. Okay. Number 3. Delayed until the end of the console generation. I'll do Avowed. I'll delay that till the end of the gen.
Matty. Okay, because your logic is Elder Scrolls is there to fill that void.
Elder Scrolls. My logic is Obsidian's got a lot coming.
No doubt.
I think that they got more beyond Avowed, like 4 or 5 projects. I think if they had one of theirs delayed, it would suck. But there's going to be a lot between now and then.
And it still comes out, right? So you said at the end of the generation. So it still comes out.
It still comes out.
Okay, no, I'm with you. I got out of my feelings.
Now, I were to replace Halo Infinite with any previous Xbox exclusive that hasn't already been announced, I don't know if I quite understand the wording here. IP that was previously Xbox exclusive, like Jade Empire, Mech Assault, that hasn't been announced.
That is weird. Yeah, something. Okay,
maybe it's supposed to say has been announced.
No, I think I get. So basically, Jade Empire was previously an exclusive. Like for example, like in my case, I know what mine would be. Mine would be like Ninja Gaiden at one point was exclusive, like when it launched with the OG Xbox, and then whatever, and then you could kind of I get that. Or
so you can pick something from the past and have that canceled instead.
Or like for example, probably not going to happen, but Sunset Overdrive was previously exclusive. And, you know what I'm saying? Or, Rise. Something that launched exclusive on the platform.
I'm trying to think of a replacement game that I'd be okay with. I mean, there's certain ones I'd be okay with, but I'm going with violence here. Like, what can I just get rid of?
Let's go.
Right? Like, what can I erase off the platform that I'm like, you shouldn't have fucking been here in the first place.
You already did it to Halo Infinite, goddamn. Jesus.
I'm leaning into
what you doing?
Leaning into like Peggle 2 right now a little bit.
Okay.
Like,
poof.
Yeah. Speak here. What? You know what? Recore.
I think I share that with you.
Yeah, Recore could be that one that just never existed. Because I remember playing that and being like, "What? This is not." I mean, this wasn't the creator of Mega Man on that. I love Mega Man. I love Mega Man. I forgot about that disappointment, like that moment of just like, what's happening? You know, Mighty Number 9's a flop. Recore's like this lost puppy. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, I remember just feeling so out of sorts there. Wait, you got
one?
Oh no,
the infamous. But man, the joy, Platinum's joy.
Oh, Scalebound.
Yeah,
right.
You give it one more shot.
Give it one more shot. Bring him back. And then cancel him forever.
I would love to see it, man. I would love to see it. I like Platinum. So I love Platinum. I'd like to see it. Yeah. So that would be mine too.
Great question, Don. Thank you for writing in. Mike posed our next write-in. Hello, Dukes. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I have to say that I am loving that it has 60 FPS option on Series X. In fact, it seems all of the big releases coming to Series X lately have launched with that smooth 60 FPS as an option. Do you think this trend will last for the rest of the generation, or do you think a developer is going to eventually make the gamble that people want pretty visuals and launch a big game at 30 FPS with no higher frame rate option? If that happened, do you all think there would be backlash now that console players are getting accustomed to 30 or 60 FPS? Keep up the good work.
Yo, love it. Shout out to Mike Poe. Love this question. Yeah, I think this is the standard going forward. This was part of the marketing tool for Series X. Like they were like, look, play at the frame rate you want. And to be honest, this is what kind of, really sold me on the Series X. A Destiny fan, I left Xbox. Like I wasn't playing Xbox Destiny with the Scorpio version of it at 30 frames per second. I just wasn't doing it. When you get to 60, it's mind changing. Now, granted, not every game has to have it, you know what I'm saying? But I love the option. And the cool thing that they're doing this generation is, you got your performance mode, you got the quality mode.
Right.
I love it. Play it how you want to play it. And we talked about it when we on a previous Defining Duke about Hellblade. I was explaining to y'all. I think to his second part of his question in reference to developers kind of like prioritizing pretty visuals. I think that will come into play in the ray tracing era that we're starting on right now.
Right.
And, I did comment, and I saw some really promising things with Hellblade on water and reflections and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I get it. But I don't think they will ever, I shouldn't say that, but I'll be shocked if they ever go, okay, 30 frames, ray tracing mode, that's all you getting. Like they know, I think they have learned, that frame rate is something that console gamers actually prioritize as well. And we even see in 120 frame modes now. So that's super impressive now, especially got to shout the Series S too. Love that they have those options as well. So I think that's where this is going. It's going to stay that way.
Right there with you. I don't think I can add anything onto that because exactly, I think developers are making games with like, what can we make within the 4K 60 range now? Like that's the standard that's been set and it's not going to change. And they're going to go, well, if we drop to 30, we can make it this pretty. It's like, well, how pretty can we make it at 60 is really the question that's being asked. So I think you'll continue to see that.
Agreed.
Gavin Alexander is our last write-in for this episode. Hey, Smatty. Whenever Carrick was still on the show, I wrote in asking what type of Halo spinoff you'd like to see. Both of you determined that you'd like a true horror survival spinoff in the Halo universe. Now that Cog is on board, I'd like to ask the same question, but for a different franchise, Gears of War. Other than Gears Tactics, what kind of spinoff would you like to see for the series? Not to be basic, but I still think a survival horror spinoff for Gears would make the most sense. However, I feel like the series has a lot of potential in other genres as well. Thoughts? Keep fucking that locust. Wow. All right. Okay.
I'll let you jump over. I got some ideas though.
For Gears, man. I mean, Tactics would have been the pick, right? But
facts.
I don't want to defer immediately to that survival horror spinoff, but it's such an attractive option. I feel if you were like caught in the locust hive and you had like used their weapons and you were low on ammo. I know it goes completely against the Gears, like dude bro screaming war design philosophy, but it'd be awesome to see like you're just playing as a member of the Cog who's trapped and you gotta be like really careful as you escape this hive. I think that would be amazing.
I'm with it. First of all, Gavin, you can't be taking Gears Tactics away because that's my heart. That's my heart. I love Gears Tactics. Like I'm such a fanboy. But to your point, yeah, Matty, I'm with you. Survival horror, because I've never said this before. This is gonna be spicy.
Oh,
I like Gears, and I always have an affinity for it. But in Cog's opinion, they lost their way from part one.
So
what I mean is from a gameplay direction, right? So the reason why part one is so beloved for me is because it had horror elements in it, small ones. Like I remember there was a section where you drive and they call it the krill, those bat things, and you have to like, stay out the light, be in the light. Yeah. And if you were in the dark, it would like kill you, and it was very tension, right? Yeah. I remember the first time you encountered the berserker in this tight space, and this thing's charging at you, this undominable thing that you can't kill with a weapon. And you're like, yo, I gotta get, it's busting pillars. And you're like, yo, what is it? Brought fear. And I was like, I thought the franchise was gonna go that direction and keep those elements, but it ended up becoming dude bro almost too much, right? Okay. And the horror kind of went away. So I feel, you know what it is? Part one made me feel vulnerable in certain situations. Whereas from that point on, I'm like, oh, they're going to win. Oh, they're in this. You never feel like they're truly, truly in danger. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like you feel like they're going to find a way, they're going to kick ass, and that's just how they are kind of thing. I want those moments. And I think one did it. So that's just me. It was just, I've never really said that because I still love Gears. Don't get me wrong. Cover, co-op, it's Cog, your boy like that, right? But story-wise, they got to B-movie, and I want some stakes. I want they ain't gonna make it. This one died, that one died. I want horror and death, and I want to be scared playing it. So that's where I'm at with it.
I like that. Yeah, and that's a good point about the series. I personally liked how it progressed, but I totally get what you're saying and how there was more, I'd say, creative elements. They kind of went into like, what do we do creatively with our levels or with weapons?
Right.
I think as the multiplayer became so popular, they went with weapons.
Yes.
But you make a really good point on how the campaign progressed over time. And I'd like to see more diverse levels. I think 5 was really good in how it did that.
Oh, yeah.
5 was really fun. But really good picks there. And that's our last question, Cog.
Oh, another one, the Dukes. Another one, fantastic.
It's weird, right? Like we're pushing 2 hours, 10 minutes now, and it's so funny to think like, oh wow, that was a little bit of a shorter episode. I'm like, wow,
yeah, this is a short one.
Wow. This is a short episode with 10 bits of news. Like, okay.
What you got? What we thinking? What we thinking for the hash? There's a lot going on.
Halo slander was going on this show a lot.
You want to say slander, DD?
Yeah, I like that.
I like that. Yeah, we did. We had some takes that, some people ain't gonna like. They could consider slander. Yeah, I like that.
Hashtag slander DD. You got this deep. Let us know on Twitter at G27status at Lord Cognito. Let us know in the comments if you don't like to go on Twitter. Certainly, I wouldn't blame you. So let us know. We'd love to see how many of you listened to the extent of our episode. We thank you who did. Or those who did, rather. Sorry. I can't English this episode if anyone couldn't tell. And with that, Cog, any closing thoughts? Or shall we wrap this up?
Bro, fantastic episode. The Dukes are here. We did our thing. And I get to see you in a few days, sir.
Indeed.
We're going to be in the Last Stand realm, chilling with the homies.
Hell yeah.
Copping back a little bit, what I'm saying? And then having some fun.
I love cigars. I'm really excited about that. It's going to be good.
I
cannot
I'm
wait.
looking forward to it, brother.
Yeah.
Likewise.
So with that, you'll see Cog and I's relationship reach a new level in the next episode 36. Also, I should have said this at the top. I feel like an idiot because I planned it. But for those who listen this deep, I guess a little tease. Next week's Defining Duke Ultimate, which will be 12 minutes. So there'll be a spoiler cast review discussion for that. Keep an eye out for a post on Patreon. But other than that, that's all I've got for you this week. Thank you so much for tuning in, for listening to episode 35. And we'll catch you next week with episode 36. Peace out.
Peace.
Defining Duke, an Xbox podcast, is a product and trademark of Last Stand Media and Colin's Last Stand LLC, and is recorded from the United States of America. The show is conceived by Matthew Mr. Matty Plays Schroeder and me, Colin Moriarty, and is written and produced by Matthew Schroeder. Matty's co-host is Barry Lord Cognito Eversley. Defining Duke's executive producer is Dustin Furman, and the show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. As you know, all of Last Stand Media's shows, including Defining Duke, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer support level on Patreon, and we're thankful for your kindness and generosity.